Good morning, everyone. Are we good on LinkedIn? Yes, it's like LinkedIn is fired up properly. We are active on Rumble Studio. Good morning, Rumble Studio. Good morning, Rumble. Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, X. Already been active on X today. Y'all want to see me active on social media? You got to hop on X or you got to hop on these lives. That's the only places where I'm actively, engaging with people on the internet. Everything else, we just post. We just post shit. We are live on Facebook. Good morning. I see you all over there on Instagram. Good morning. Our circle coaching program is open. Group coaching program is open. The circle. I know not everybody can get in on the high ticket that we have, but now we got low ticket, $97 a month. The circle coaching program. All you got to do is send me a DM with the circle. My assistant will write you back later on this morning and get you some info on the circle and get some info about you as well. TikTok. We are here. Good morning, everybody on TikTok. Please like the live, like the stream. Whoever's liking it, thank you for liking it already. Sherry, 1967, I see you. Keep liking the live. Thank you for doing that. So, Zaire said, Dre always make sure the tires are fresh. Yes, the tires got to stay fresh. Tires stay fresh. Shout out to the dry cleaners. And shout out to having proper hangers to hang your stuff. If you're going to wear suits, you got to take care of your clothes. But anyway, hope everybody's having a great. Today is Thursday, and today's topic is the topic that I predicted we'd be talking about today, because we don't always know what the topic's going to be, because something can happen between the end of today's stream and the start of tomorrow's stream. So anything I tell you that I might talk about the next day, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, because something can bump it off the headlines. Good news for you all is that the topic I announced yesterday, I wasn't looking so much at X yesterday because I was working on a whole lot of automation stuff yesterday, which took a lot of time and attention. So I didn't really spend a lot of time looking on, quote unquote, the news on social media. So I didn't come across anything new because, frankly, I wasn't looking. So we already had a topic ready. And that's this one I told you we want to talk about today, which is I know I changed this board that we have on TikTok. I changed this before we started this stream. Let me see if I can change it. I don't know if they're going to let me change it. I changed this before we started. It's supposed to be the white race hustler. It's supposed to be the topic here today. I don't know why they're showing on TikTok. They're showing the wrong board. So maybe I did it wrong. So anyway, the topic here today on TikTok is not the big, beautiful bill. The topic is the white race hustler. So I just took that one off because I don't know, for whatever reason, they put maybe I did it. I'll take the blame for it, that the wrong one's up there. But what we're talking about here today is the emergence of the white race hustler. Now, those of you who know me talking about race hustlers, I've been doing this for a while. Good morning, Carla, checking in there. Tell me where you are checking in from while I give this a little bit of background. Then I'm going to tell you where the story actually came from. Then we're going to talk a little bit more about it. Actually, a lot more about it. I've been talking about race hustlers since back in 2008, at least 2017, 2018. What is a race hustler? Race hustler, my definition, I made up this definition, is a person, typically a black person, whose whole business is finding anything that involves race that they know they can get people excited about. Even if it doesn't involve race, they will find an angle through which to make it about race. Then they get a bunch of people excited, their audience, about it, and then they go make a story out of it, and it draws more attention back to them. And through this, they can do things like selling books, building up an audience on the internet, selling courses, coaching programs. Who knows what the hell these race hustlers are selling? Or this may be their full-time job. Some of these people work at CNN, ESPN, New York Times, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what a race hustler is. Generally, a race hustler is a black person. But what has happened is now we're starting to see white race hustlers. And I'm going to explain why we're seeing white race hustlers, where they come from, the situation that drew attention to this for me, and I'm going to explain what all this means for all of you. So let's see what we got going on here. I was asking you all for your locations. Nobody gave me a location, but good morning. Traditional all day, Sherry, checking in from Michigan. Shout out to Michigan. Irma V, thank you for the gift. I see you in here as usual. Carla's in here. Good morning. We are at 2,000 likes, folks. Can we get to 50,000? Can we get to 50,000 likes this morning? First, let's get to 5,000. All right, so 50,000 might be too big of a piece to chew off for everybody. Can we get the 5,000 likes over on TikTok? So here's where this came from. Let me tell you where this came from. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. Vivian said Miami Springs. Shout out to Miami Springs. Worcester. Which Worcester? There's a bunch of them. You talking about the UK or somewhere else? So my name is Dre Baldwin, former 9-year professional athlete, author of 41 books on 4 TEDx talks. I own this company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. What we do here is we work with professionals and entrepreneurs on leveling your game up, stepping your game up, most importantly, stepping up your performance, and more important than that, stepping up the results of that performance. We take the tools to help athletes reach the top 2% in sports, and we create a system that translates those tools from the sports world to the business world. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, that sounds like the lane that you want to drive in, all you got to do is click on the links that you see in my profile or in my bio, or just send me a DM with The Circle, and we'll tell you more about our Circle group coaching program. Is an easy way to get started for anybody not sure where you want to go or what you're doing right now. Again, it's called The Circle. Just send me a DM with The Circle. We'll give you more information. So what happened here? And by the way, let's get these likes up on TikTok, please. Let me get to 5,000. So there was a viral clip that went viral somehow, some way. I don't know why it went viral. It should not have gone viral. And it was Brittney Griner, this player who plays in the WNBA. Y'all, if y'all don't know who she is, Brittney Griner is like the 6'8" woman who plays in the WNBA. She's been in the league for a while now. She's been around for probably 10 years. And she is the woman who, y'all remember about a year or two ago when the female basketball player got arrested over in the R country because she was traveling over there to play basketball, but she had some illegal substances in her luggage, and she got put in jail in the R country. And it was this whole big back and forth. And Donald Trump, was it Donald Trump? No, it was Joe Biden. Excuse me. Was it Biden or Trump? I think it was Biden. Joe Biden gets her out of, it was a couple of years ago, so it had to be Biden. Biden gets her out of prison in our country by trading this guy who they called the Merchant of Death. I don't remember the gentleman's name, but we had him, and he's from the R country, and they had her, and she's from the United States, and we did this swap. So we swapped prisoners, basically. We gave them the Merchant of Death guy who had actually taken people's lives. They gave us this female basketball player who had made a show of not wanting to stand for the national anthem and not being proud of the United States of America. But all of a sudden, when she gets incarcerated in our country, all of a sudden now she's a patriot. That y'all can draw whatever conclusions you want from that. And we swapped these two people. So if y'all don't remember, y'all know who Brittney Griner is. That was her. So Brittney Griner, that situation's over. She's back in the United States playing in the WNBA. She plays for the Atlanta team. And the Atlanta team is playing against this team called the Indiana Fever. Their best player is this white girl named Caitlin Clark. She's the one who has made so many people who previously were not paying attention now pay attention to the WNBA. And Brittney Griner had picked up a foul in the game, which is like a normal thing that happens, but a lot of times players are mad when they get called for fouls. Brittney Griner sitting on the bench, and she seems annoyed that she got called for a foul and subsequently pulled out of the game. So she's kind of voicing her displeasure of the situation, which is normal in sports. Basketball players get mad when they get called for fouls. And while she's on the bench, she says something. We don't know what she said because you can't hear the audio, but you can just see her mouth moving. And looks like she's just annoyed. She's saying whatever she's saying. And somebody, the person I saw do this, and I gotta point them out, I gotta point everybody out, was this woman named Riley Gaines. You don't know who Riley Gaines is. Riley Gaines is a woman who was a swimmer at the national level while she went to college. In college, she was a college swimmer. And she's the girl who came in tied for 5th place with this man who goes by the name of Lia Thomas. This happened a few years ago. This man who was swimming as a woman, he's beating all the girls in swimming. He goes to the national championships, and the national championships against all the best swimmers in the nation. This man came in tied for 5th place with another girl. And what happened is they only had one 5th place trophy. So the event, they had a trophy for 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Top 5 all get a trophy. So they only had one trophy, but the man swimming as a woman and this girl, Riley Gaines, they came in tied for 5th place. So they only had one trophy. So what do you do? Because they need the photo op. So they told Riley Gaines that we're going to let the man, Lia Thomas, get the trophy and he gets to take the picture. And what we're going to do is we will mail you another trophy. We'll go make another trophy and we'll mail it to your house. So she didn't get to take a picture with the trophy because the event organizers decided we want to let the man who's swimming as a woman take a picture with the trophy. And Riley Gaines went and basically took that situation, and she created this whole crusade and basically, I guess, a career now. She is an advocate for only keeping women in women's sports. She goes and speaks at colleges, and I don't know if she's written a book yet, but she probably will. And she's become an advocate for this, the same way that guy, David Hogg, down here in Florida, when they had the mass offing situation down at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, he became an advocate for gun safety just because he went to the school where it happened. And he took that and made a career out of it. She did the same thing, and she had hers was more direct because she was actually personally involved in the situation. So Riley Gaines' thing is now she's an advocate for this, which is fine. I'm actually generally in support of Riley Gaines, and I support what she's about. I support the concept that a man should not be in a woman's sport. And she just happened to be the person. She literally tied with this person, and they do scoring down to like the 100th of a second. So they came in tied, which is, she didn't plan for that. And she didn't get to take a picture with the trophy. So I understand why she was pissed. She made a career out of it. So Riley Gaines is the one who somehow, some way, she found this clip. She's the one who popularized it. I don't know if she did it, but she popularized this clip where she says that it looks like Brittany Griner, because remember who she's playing against. Brittany Griner's team is playing against Caitlin Clark's team. Caitlin Clark is white, Brittany Griner is black, and lesbian for whatever it's worth. Riley Gaines claims that Brittany Griner is saying on the bench, trash ass effing white girl. That's what Riley Gaines says. She's lip reading and claiming that that's what Brittany Griner is saying on the bench. And I'm looking at the clip and I'm looking at Brittany Griner's mouth moving, and I'm like, I don't think that's what she's saying. I played basketball. I know what it's like when you get called for a foul and you don't think the ref was right and you're kind of pissed at the ref. And you're kind of just talking shit, not even to the ref, just talking shit because you're mad because you just got pulled out the game. You got a foul called on you that shouldn't have been a foul. Seemed like she was just mad at the ref. And she was saying something about the referee. Why call that, or a trash ass call, something like that. How she makes Riley Gaines and a bunch of other people, we're going to get to them in a second, somehow, some way figured that this had to be about Caitlin Clark just because her basketball team is playing against Caitlin Clark's basketball team. It had to be about the white girl. And Riley Gaines tried to draw this picture that Brittany Griner is saying something negative about the white girl and that this is a story that should become a story. And I thought this was a nothing burger. But by the time I saw this post, it was already going viral and there were a ton of people talking about it. And then everybody was talking about it and everybody's posting video. I was talking about it. This is all on X, by the way. And this happened, I think this is maybe Saturday, a few days ago. And some viewers are claiming that she was saying trash white girl. Despite there was no audio confirming this. This is all built on pure speculation. And based on that alone, and the fact that so many people, a lot of white people, because Brittany Griner is black, Caitlin Clark's white, they're coming out and saying, well, Brittany Griner is being racist. The WNBA should do an investigation into this, the same way they did an investigation into something that didn't happen in the first game of the season when the Chicago team was playing against Caitlin Clark's team at home in Indiana. Why aren't they doing an investigation on this? Why aren't they don't like racism. They shouldn't like racism coming from the black player the same way that they allegedly are investigating racism coming from white people and white players. Why did they do this? And because of the fact that this was based on literally speculation of some claimed lip reading of a black player, that they drew this line. They somehow made these logical jumps. That just because a black player seems to be angry and saying something, and she happens to be playing against a team with a white girl on it that's very popular, somehow, some way, she has to be talking about the white girl. And whatever we interpret she says has to be something negative and quote unquote racist about the white girl. This is race hustling. White people, you can't do this. We can't do this. This is white race hustling. We can't do this. Same way I call it a black race hustler, I will call it a white race hustler. This is white race hustling. We cannot do this. Okay, and this is why we're talking about the white race hustler. And I'm not saying all white people. Same way when I say black race hustlers, I'm not talking about all black people. I'm black. I'm not a race hustler, but I will call out their bullshit. White people went and picked this up and ran with it because they wanted to kind of get some get back, I guess, because of the first game when Angel Reese, who plays for the Chicago team, and her team or somebody somehow, some way made it some story that some racist got said to her. We did an investigation onto this, which was completely nothing, and nothing came out of it. And a bunch of white people, I understand, are pissed off about this. So I'm not going to trash white people here. I'm going to trash the white race hustler in the concept. I'm not going to trash white people here. I'm going to tell you why they actually have a reason for doing this. I'm going to tell you right now. Newton's third law is in action. Sir Isaac Newton came up with 3 laws of motion. All right. The third law of motion is this. This is one all of you have heard of before. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Everybody's heard that before, right? Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. The reason why the white race hustler has emerged and will continue to emerge as we move forward is because the black race hustler had such a long and successful run of race hustling that the white race hustler or the would-be white race hustler said, well, shit, if they can get all this attention and all this success and all this energy drawn up by race hustling about anything against a black person that they're calling racist, even if it's not, well, shit, why don't we do the same thing for white people? I understand. I ain't mad at it. I don't agree with race hustling as a general point. I don't like when people race hustle. However, I can't stop race hustling from happening. So when I talk about black race hustlers, I say the same thing. I can't knock their hustle because I understand why they're doing it. There is money to be made from race hustling. All right, let me be very clear. You can make money race hustling. You can have a living. You can make a living and you can have a long career being an active race hustler. An active and engaged race hustler. You can make money doing this. I'm not saying Riley Gaines is a race hustler, but I understand why some white people might look at what the black people are doing race hustling and say, well, shit, why not me? If they can do it, I can do it. All right, why not? So let's talk about this. Black race hustlers, as I said, they made careers out of crying racism over every black-white conflict. I've been talking about this for damn near a decade, that black people will take anything that involves a conflict between black people and white people, or even if they got to create the conflict between black people and white people, and they make it about race. And then they go and monetize this, they popularize it, it goes viral, and there's a whole bunch of news items about it just because of the racial dynamic, not because of the story itself, but because of the racial dynamic. That's why it becomes a story. And this works very well because the United States of America, in the United States of America, race will always be a censored topic. And thank you for getting the likes up over on TikTok. Can we get the 15,000, please? 15,000 likes on TikTok, please. We're at 12,000. So this will always be an issue in America because in America, everybody has an opinion on race. That's a beautiful thing about the subject is that if you want to, and I talk to you all sometimes about this. So sometimes when I'm talking, some people will come on here and say, well, Dre, why are you always talking about Trump? I'm not talking about Trump here today. But one of the reasons why I often talk about Trump is because everybody's talking about Trump. So if you want to draw attention, you should probably pick a subject upon which everyone has something to say or everyone has an opinion. Why? Because everybody's going to listen. All right, that's the way it works. If you're in the attention business, you should probably do things that draw attention. You should connect yourself to things that are already drawing attention because now you don't have to build the audience out of nowhere. So I can take any trending topic, anything that's happening in the world today. If I talk about that, everyone who's already talking about it is going to come and hear what I have to say, at least for a moment, just to see, all right, what does this person have to say about it? Because they're interested. Now, if I talk about something that I don't know if anyone's interested, then I might end up talking to nobody. But if I pick a topic that everyone has something to say, of course it's going to draw attention. Race is a topic that everyone has something to say. Everyone has an opinion. Even if you keep it to yourself, you will listen to what someone else says because you're going to compare that to how you think. No one is completely neutral. I don't think anything about race. There's no one listening to this right now who has no opinion, no thoughts, no feelings on the subject of race. None of you. All of you have something, whether you say it out loud or not. When it comes to Donald Trump, it's pretty much the same thing. Everyone has something you feel, think, or have to say about him. Whether you say it or not is irrelevant, but you have a thought. So if someone talks about Donald Trump, a bunch of people are going to listen just to see what gets said. When I talk about the Diddy trial right now, that's a trending topic right now because it's a big story because this guy's a big star and he's essentially on trial for his life. And the reason why that's a good topic to talk about is because everybody has something to say. This is the way the media works. I don't know if this is news to any of you, but this is the way it works. Race is a subject that if you bring it up, people are going to listen to you, regardless of what you said. Even if they listen just to disagree with you, they're going to listen. So I understand the race hustlers made a career out of turning everything into a racial subject because if the same thing happened and there weren't the races involved that are involved, it wouldn't be a story. So what happened to George Floyd in Minneapolis a few years ago, 5 years ago? If George Floyd was a white man, his name can still be George Floyd. Let's say George Floyd was a white guy and everything else was the same. All right, so he used a counterfeit bill. The cops come and get him. They pull him out of his car, and he's talking about he can't breathe before he even gets on the ground. And they cuff him, and they're trying to put him in the cop car. And he says he's claustrophobic, can't get in the car. He said, put me on the ground. They put him on the ground. The officer kneels on him. Let's not even get into that. Officer kneels on him. He ends up dying. If George Floyd was a white guy, that wouldn't be a news story. Nobody would care. Same thing happened. All the same stuff. And the cop might still go to jail. But nobody would care. Nobody would know about it. It wouldn't be a story. It'd be a local story, maybe if you live in the town where it happened. But otherwise, if you don't live in Minneapolis, you wouldn't even know that occurred. Why? Because white on white is not news. Black on black, not news. But black on white or white on black is news. Why? Because America cares about race a lot. So black people did this for years. Race hustled. Race hustled for years. A bunch of black race hustlers out there still to this day. The well is drying up a little bit, but they're still making money. So white people decide they want to jump in and do the same thing and weaponize what they call racism in order to make white people feel that they're being attacked or allow white people to be victims, then, hey, why not? Again, you can't knock their hustle. I can't knock their hustle. I don't agree with race hustling, but I can't be mad at you for doing it because I understand why it works. I just told you why it works. I choose not to get in the game, but I understand that there is a game. Do you understand? Same way you might not you might not want to live in Seattle because it rains too much, but you understand some people love it. All right. Some people don't want to live in Miami. It's too hot, but some people love it. You can't be mad at the game. You either play it, you stay out, but you can't say that the game shouldn't exist. When it comes to this situation, weaponizing things. So you got Riley Gaines. I don't know why she did this, but she did it. She's white. So I guess she said, hey, black people have been doing it. Why not jump in it? And it worked. I mean, it got her a bunch of attention. I don't agree with her frame, but it got her a bunch of attention. If that's what she was after, she got it. When it came to the situation in Texas with the kid, Carmelo Anthony, Carmelo with a K, stabbing the white kid, and the white kid's dead, Austin Metcalf. But the reason that became a story is because of the racial dynamic, and a bunch of white people are saying, hey, look at this black on white violence. I get it. Can't be mad at it. And this is the equal and opposite reaction to what black people have been doing for at least the last 10 years, very loudly and very publicly. Black people have been doing this for longer than that, but it's been public social media going viral for the last 10 years. So I understand the blowback. This is what you get. All right, these are the chickens coming home to roost, to paraphrase Malcolm X. So Brittany Griner's comment was never confirmed. I don't think anybody asked her what she said. She probably don't remember what she said. And no one ever verified that this is exactly what she said. But these lip readers, again, the white race hustlers, they ran with this reckless interpretation for, again, same reason that black people go and create news stories out of nowhere when it comes to race. They went and did the same thing. So if you're a black race hustler, let me ask you a question. How's it feel? Can we get more likes on TikTok? We have 16. Can we get to 20,000? If you're a black race hustler and you don't like the fact that white people are now taking a situation that involves different races, even if it doesn't, they're just making it up out of nowhere and saying that it has to be race-based, how does it feel if you're a black person seeing white people do this? If you were okay with black people doing it, then how does it feel now that the shoe is on the other foot? This is a rhetorical question. How does it feel? You want to play this game, understand, if you're playing the game doing anything successfully, eventually people are going to notice that it's successful and other people are going to jump in the game. That's the way it works. If you're doing anything that is working and is working well, eventually other people will start copying you and doing the same thing that you're doing. If you're on Amazon selling a physical product, then eventually some people from the country that starts with a letter C are going to notice that you're doing that. They're going to knock off your physical product. They're going to sell it at half the price for which you're selling it. And they're going to basically leech off of your customers and steal a bunch of business from you. It happens all the time. Any of you sell anything physical online, you know this happens to you. Even if you ain't selling it on Amazon, you can be selling it on your own website. Someone on Amazon, someone is going to make a cheap knockoff of what you're selling, and they're going to start selling it at 50% of what you're selling it for, and they're going to basically steal a bunch of customers from you. That's how it works. We're at 17,000 likes, folks. Can we get to 20, please? Thank you, traditional. So there is no proof, just speculation to stoke outrage, which again is what race hustling is. Often you don't need proof of anything. You just make it about race. Even if you can prove the thing happened, proving that it's because of race is the hustle. The hustle is not making up a story that didn't happen. The hustle is taking a story that did happen and forcing everyone to look at it through the lens of race. That's the hustle. So again, the George Floyd situation in Minneapolis, again, that can happen to a white guy. Probably does happen to white guys all the time. But nobody knows about it because we don't care. But when it's black on white or white on black, now it becomes a news story. That's the hustle. And again, this is very easy to do. And you want to get into race hustling, I mean, I'm giving you the blueprint of how to be a race hustler. So any of you trying to start a business and you don't know what to do, become a race hustler. Now you could be white or black. You could become a race hustler. So, hey, all right. So any of you stuck for business ideas, I just gave you one. So white race hustlers now are taking these fake hypotheticals and saying, well, what if a white player did this and what would happen? And this was a blowback. So I responded to what Riley Gaines said. Let me see if I can find a post of me responding to what Riley Gaines said. Because what she said, again, as I already told you, I genuinely didn't agree with what she said here, but let me see if I can find it. This was probably on Saturday. So let me see if I can find the response. So this was several days ago. I'm pretty active on X. So let me see if I can go backwards and find it. So today is Thursday. So we're looking like 4 days ago. And not that. No, not that. No, not that. No, not that. I'm pretty active on this app. I didn't know I was this active. So I'm trying to find exactly what she said, and I want to tell you exactly what I said. Because when I responded back to her, I got a whole lot of pushback from allegedly what looked like white people who had a problem with me saying, I don't think this is what Riley Gaines was framing it as to be. You know what kind of responses I was getting from a bunch of white people? Bunch of white people, allegedly white people. Again, on social media, you don't know who these people actually are. This is not their real name and their real face. You don't know who they are. But a bunch of alleged white people were pushing back on me and saying, oh, well, you don't have a problem with the racial thing when black people do it, but you got a problem. You don't have a problem with the racial thing when white people do it, but you got a problem when black people do it. And of course, these people don't know any of my work. They just saw my post and they see I'm a black guy and they figure that I'm like a whole lot of people out there who will simply just defend anything that a black person does just because they're black. I'm not that person. Now, these people have no idea of that. They don't know it. But this is what was happening. So I'm trying to find this post that Riley Gaines made, this race hustling that she did, so I could tell you what I said back to her race hustling. Oh, here it is. So, no. Oh, actually, you know how I found it? Here's how I found it. I found it because Jemele Hill, who is a race hustler, and she's supposed to be a journalist, but she's not much of a journalist. She's a race hustler. Jemele Hill was responding to Riley Gaines' post. She quote tweeted Riley Gaines and basically said what Riley Gaines was doing was whack. And this is one time that I actually agree with Jemele Hill. I don't find Jemele to have much substance generally, but in this one, she was actually right. And what Riley Gaines says, so here's the clip. Y'all didn't see the clip. So this is Brittany Griner. That's Brittany Griner right there. That's her saying something on the bench. You can't hear it because there's no audio. So this is just during the game on TV. So they're saying that she's saying trash white girl. Again, it's 10 people on the court. So how do you know who she's talking about and why? Or again, it makes no sense. So Riley Gaines says, Brittany Griner appeared to call Caitlin Clark trash and a fucking white girl after fouling out last night. Just a reminder, this is who we traded for the Our Country's Merchant of Death. Now imagine if Clark had said the inverse. This is classic race hustling, Riley Gaines. So any of you know Riley, this is classic race hustling. All right, that's what this is. And again, this is now the shoes on the other foot with a white girl doing it. And Riley Gaines, she has a podcast called Gaines for Girls, and she is an author. She has a best-selling book. I told you she probably had a book. I can tell you exactly the career path of people when they get into these certain things. I know exactly what's going to happen next. So this post got 15 million views on, what day was this? On the 23rd, whatever day that was. Friday, maybe? Yeah, Friday night. 15 million views on X when she made this post. I just read you the whole post. I responded to her right here. You can see first response. They might be showing that just because it's me. I said, this is a race hustle. I immediately said to her, I'm going to show you my response to her because I want y'all to be clear where I stand on this. Right here. Race hustle. You see that? Race hustle. I told her it was a race hustle 4 days ago. So I'm not making this up. I tell you these things. I want y'all to know I got receipts on these things. I don't come up with this stuff out of nowhere. I said, I like your overall purpose, Riley, but this is a miss. Number one, we're not sure of what your lip reading is actually true. We don't know. Number two, I told her, you play the sport. You know that people get mad in the heat of competition. We have no idea what she's mad about. How you just drew the line from her to Caitlin Clark just because Caitlin Clark's in the game makes no sense. This is a big logical jump. And number three, this is what I said to her. Let me see if I can pull up this post. I'm going to highlight the number three thing I said. I said, do not do this. Again, this is 4 days ago. I'm just showing y'all my receipts. I told Riley Gaines, do not do this. It cheapens the value of when something important happens around this subject. This is the reason I have a problem with race hustlers in general. This is why I don't like race hustlers, because what they do is like the boy who cried wolf. They're trying to take every situation and make it about race. And then when something is really about race, everyone's desensitized to it because we're making everything about race. If everything is racism, then nothing's racism. That's the problem with racism, or the claim for racism. I remember years ago, this is probably 2000, maybe 21. You remember this app Clubhouse? You ever been on Clubhouse? So I used to go on Clubhouse sometimes, and I would just jump into random rooms just to see what the conversation was. And I jumped into this random room on Clubhouse in like 2021. I think it was 21 because I remember where I was living at the time. And there was like 6, 7, maybe 10 people in there. And when I came in the room, they invited me into the conversation. And it was all mostly black people. There was a couple of white guys in there. And the black guy who was running the conversation, he said, Dre, you just came into the conversation. So let me ask you a question. What we're talking about is, do you think that there's more racism today than there was back in the day? That was his question. Now, today, again, this is 2021, he's asking the question. And I said, of course, there's not more racism today than there was back in the day. Actually, let me ask all of you. Those of y'all in the comments right now, do you think there's more racism now than there was back in the day, like let's say pre-civil rights or around that time, 1950s, 60s, etc.? Do you think there's more now or then? Yes or no? Do you think there's more racism now than there was back in the day? Put yes or no if you think there's more. Put no if you think there is less. Racism now versus back in the day. So I'm getting a whole bunch of yeses. I'm getting a whole bunch of absolutely yeses. So a bunch of you are just tripling down on this. Absolutely, there's more racism now than there was back in the day. I'm getting a few no's. Joanna said no. Dick Sanchez said no. And Big Sam says yes. Carla says no. So most of the votes I've seen are saying yes. And here's what I'll say. And this is what's actually, let me tell you what's actually happening. My answer is no. There is not more racism now. So now the no's are starting to win. Jay Tundra over there on YouTube said no. The Noble Life is going on, sir, said no. My answer is no. There is not more racism now than there was back in the day. First of all, if you're black, how the hell do you think there's more racism now than there was back in the day? Back in the day, you couldn't go to the same bathroom. You couldn't drink from the same water. You couldn't eat at the same table. You couldn't even walk in the same door as a white person. That's racism. That's like actual segregation based on race. That's what it is. You can't drink from my water fountain because you're black. That's how it was back in the day. I wasn't alive in those days. How the hell is any of you thinking there's more racism today? Based on what? Based on what? Social media? Because somebody might have said something to you on the internet and you don't even know if they're a real person? That's racism? Where y'all getting this from? Where y'all getting this from that there was more racism? There's more racism now than there was back in the day. I'm really interested in how any of you could come to that conclusion. What's happening today? I'm going to tell you what's happening today. And it connects to the whole conversation we're having right now. What we have more of today is a search for racism. We have people looking for racism in 2025 and 2021 and 2020. Nowadays, people go looking for racism. Back in the day, you had to look for racism. It was there and you could see it, you could feel it. It was real and people would say it out of their mouths and they were open about it. These days, you have people accusing each other of racism. That's what we got now. Now everybody's just accusing everybody else of racism. Black people are accusing white people of racism, aided by the nonsense garbage content that you get from race hustlers. They tell you how to look for racism. Then you go out with the knowledge that you got from the race hustler. And now that's racism because you did this. Oh, that's racism. That's racism. We got microaggressions now. What the fuck is a microaggression? There's no such thing as a microaggression. Either you're aggressive or you're not. All right. So there's no microaggression. Now we got black people looking for microaggressions. Oh, so a black person says something and you stop looking and you start writing in your paper. That means that's a microaggression. That's a sign of racism. We got to fix. That's bullshit. All right. This has been created by race hustlers to train everyone else. And again, this is the reason why race hustling makes money, because what a race hustler does is that they create new ways to identify racism or to point out racism or to call out racism or to be able to claim racism. Then they train the audience to do the same thing, and that audience pays to learn more about it, and now you make money from it. All right, it's a beautiful business model. Again, any of you looking for a business and you don't know what to do, become a race hustler. All right, any of you could do it now. White people, black people, any of you could become a race hustler. You just got to figure out a way to get your team, whatever team you're on, excited about anything that is allegedly a racially driven anything that's going against them. That's all you got to do. And again, now white people are in the game, so none of you is excluded. That's race. What's happening today is more people are looking for racism, and you look for anything hard enough, you'll find it. As Drake says in his song, they don't have a story, they'll make one. This is what a race hustler does. If there's no story, they just make up race hustling. That has to be racial based. Brittany Griner is black. Caitlin Clark is white. It's 10 people on the basketball court and the 3 referees, and it's 20,000 people in the stands. And Brittany Griner looks mad, so she has to be talking about the white girl. So let's go run with that. And it worked. This is what's crazy. It fucking worked. How did anybody logically go along with this? It makes no sense. This makes no sense whatsoever. This is what racism hath wrought. Now we got white people race hustling. Now everybody's race hustling. Now racism, when someone actually throws the term out, it means absolutely nothing. It's lost all its value. You call someone or something racist these days, it doesn't mean anything. Nowadays we won't even react to it. Oh, of course. Yeah, that's racist. Right. We heard you. Everything's racism now because everybody's just throwing the term out there recklessly just to say anything. So let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you what happened. When I responded to Riley Gaines, now my response to Riley Gaines got 81,000 views, 217 likes, and 140 responses. So all these responses, most of the responses I got were from allegedly white people. Again, you don't really know. And they were all basically pushing back against me because they all were looking at me like, oh, well, you're black, so you're just going to defend anything the black girl says. Now, those of you who follow my work know that's not my lane. But they don't know me, so this is what they're saying. First person says, if a white girl has said this about a black girl, she'd never play again. This isn't any activation because Brittany wasn't even the one playing. This is just racist. That's what the person said. How is something racist? You don't even know what they said. Again, this is what we've created. We've created this world. And I responded back to this person, but this is what they said. They said if a white person said this about a black person, they would get banned, suspended, they'd be tarred and feathered. Are they right? Yes. The problem is saying this never fucking happened. So they just made up a story out of nowhere just to get mad. That's what race hustling does. It gets people upset and angry about things that didn't even occur, or for reasons why the thing that did occur has nothing to do with the thing you made up. And then people get all angry and upset about it. And then they think, well, there's more racism going on because look how upset I am about things that have nothing to do with race. Again, beautiful business model, as I said. Someone else said, yes, Brittany Griner is a racist pig. Glad that you agree. Again, white person. Next one says, maybe they shouldn't all be crying wolf about the racist remarks. How about that? Well, see, this person this is a fair point. So what there is a fair point and is not at the same time. So this another white person says, if black people are able to cry wolf about everything that's quote unquote racist, then how anybody mad about this one? I get it. I don't believe that two wrongs make a right, but I understand that a lot of people operate by that frame. And what are you going to tell them that they're wrong, especially after all the race hustling we just watched over the last 10 years by black people? So another person says, bad take, Dre. It is not valid. He says, Riley Gaines has nothing to gain with the race hustle. Yes, she does. I already explained that. Said Brittany Griner got saved by the USA and speaks against the USA. Also true. Has nothing to do with the situation. And then he says, you know exactly what she's saying. No, I don't. And no do you. Neither do you, rather. Now be human and look at the optics. Again, this is the justification that a lot of white people have for this. If a white person has said this about a black player, they would get condemned and crucified in every major media outlet. This person is correct on that point. The rest of what they said is bullshit. But again, this is human nature. Humans will come up with emotional justifications. They'll mix in one logical point that is actually accurate. Then they'll use emotional justification to come to another conclusion that has nothing to do with the logic, and then present it all as, hey, this is a good argument. And most humans are swayed by this shit. And this is the reason why race hustling exists. Another reason why it exists. Again, one more, because they all pretty much said the same thing. Another person says, you wouldn't say this if it were Caitlin Clark saying reverse about a black player. That's pretty much where this comes down. It comes down to that right there. If a white person says this about a black person, they would get attacked, dragged. They would have to go apologize. Remember Kyrie Irving when he had to apologize because he posted that documentary that allegedly attacked the J people and what they made him do to kind of get back into the NBA? That's what would happen if a white person was to say anything related to race about a black player in the WNBA. Do I believe that? Yes. 100% that would happen. That one I'm willing to bet money on. Now, if Brittany Griner did say something about a white player, let's say she did say trash white girl. Let's say she said it and we know she said it because we heard it. We didn't hear this. So let's say she said it and we knew. What would happen to her? Would she get any blowback? Would she get penalized? Would she get suspended? Give me an answer in the comments. Yes or no? If a black WNBA player made a racially toned comment, literally said trash white girl, something negative, and used the term white girl in saying it about a white WNBA player, would they get any type of penalty, blowback, suspension? Would they do a segment on ESPN about it? Would anything happen to them negatively for them saying that? Yes or no? All right, so everybody's saying no. Nothing would happen. So because of this, because of the environment that has been created in reality. The reality is, and I agree with you all, nothing would happen. WNBA wouldn't do shit if a black player says something about a white player. But if a white player says something about a black player, oh, it'd be crazy. That'd be a headline news for a week. And because of this, I understand why white people are pushing back. I understand why white people, even if you have to make the story, as this is a made up story, even if you got to make the story, I understand why white people are doing it. Again, I asked the black people, if you don't like what these white people are doing right now with the race hustling, and it's going to get worse, I'm letting y'all know, this is just the beginning. The race hustling from the white side, they're just getting started. Why? Because what did black people do for the last 10 years? Y'all think, again, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. This is a law of the universe. This is not a theory. It's a law of the universe that you do all that race hustling for 10 years and white people had to sit there and take it. You think they're not going to come back and do the exact same fucking thing? That's what's about to happen next. So mark my words that I told you this. Between now and 2030, the next 5 years, you're going to see a whole lot of white race hustling going the exact opposite way. The exact same thing black people did. You're going to see white people doing it back. That's coming, guaranteed. So black people, how's it feel? If you celebrated the black race hustling, how does it feel now that the shoe's on the other foot? And trust me, it's just getting started. So hopefully you're not too disturbed by this because it's going to get worse, a lot worse. So this fake hypothetical is part of the bag of being a race hustler. You got to make shit up when there's nothing real. There's not enough real stuff to have a career. So you just got to make things up when there's nothing. Just like ESPN, they got these talking head shows that come out every single day. The problem is it ain't really nothing useful to talk about every single day. They should do those shows like twice a week. But they got to talk about something every day. So what do? You don't have a story, make one up. So they just make up stories. So they have something to debate about. They make up debates. For those of you who don't know how those debate shows work, any debate show, whether it's on CNN, ESPN, Fox, any network where you got people on there arguing with each other, here's what they do. They have a production meeting before the show comes on. Early in the morning, they have a production meeting. And between the producers and the people who are going to be on the show, they sit down and say, all right, here are the topics we could possibly talk about. They pick a handful of topics, and then they go around the room to the people who are going to be on TV, and they say, all right, since we're going to talk about the NBA playoffs, what angle do you want to take on the subject? And that person will say, well, I want to say this. Then the other person can't just say, well, hey, I agree with your point. So what we'll do is we'll just agree on it. Y'all never hear that, right? You notice that on debate shows, people never agree on anything. Even if they agree, then they argue about why they agree. They have to come up with an angle to which they're clashing. So they make this shit up. These are made up arguments. So any of you watch these debate TV shows, they're not actually debating. They're actually they make that up. They plan it. They script it. This is like the WWF for talking. That's what this is. This is all scripted. And I'm sorry if I ruined the dream any of you thought that when the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper and those guys were wrestling, y'all know that was fake, right? That was scripted. All right, so it was scripted. That's what this shit is. This is made up debates. And this entertains people. This is not information. It's entertainment. That's what it is. This situation didn't actually happen. People are mad at a fantasy. Then this race baiting thing works because it activates tribal emotion in people. Human beings in general are tribal. All right. Is this real? Yes, it's real. Human beings are tribal. Just as a general rule. Meaning, if I go somewhere, right? Let's say I go to an event. Actually, I'll tell you a quick story about when I first came. I lived in Brickell before, Brickell, Miami. When I first came back to Brickell, I was out of Brickell when I came back to Brickell. It was like 2016. And I said I had started to run. This is after I was playing basketball. So I said, I like running. I'm going to try running. And I would run. I went to this run club. One day I was taking a walk and I saw all these people, it was like 100 people gathered in the middle of Brickell. And they looked like they were exercising. I didn't know what they were doing. So I walked over to the group and I saw the guy who was in charge. He was like standing up on this little podium. And I walked up to him and said, who is this? What are y'all doing? He told me it's a run club. We run every like Tuesday and Thursday, whatever, at 7:00. And just follow us on Instagram or Facebook and we'll tell you where we're going to meet and all this shit. So I go to the run club, right? Now, in the middle of Brickell, there ain't a whole bunch of black people, especially at a run club. It's mostly white and Latin people and European. And they all fair skinned, so you can't tell until they talk. So I go to the run club, and there's like 2 other black guys there besides me. It's me and 2 other black guys out of like 100 people. So I see one of these black guys, and I just noticed him because there wasn't that many black guys there. And this guy wouldn't look at me. And I went to the run club like 2 more times, and I saw the same black dude, and it wasn't any other black dude, and this dude still would not make eye contact with me. And I'm like, why is this dude not looking at? Why is he avoiding eye contact with me? I don't know this guy from anywhere. So maybe he don't like other black people. I don't think so. It had to be something else. I just couldn't understand what it was. Maybe this dude's just a weirdo. I don't know. So then I stopped going to the run club because it wasn't the right schedule for me, and it wasn't challenging me enough. But anyway, Like 3 weeks later, I finally realized where I knew that dude from. That dude had been a referee in a rec league basketball game that I had played in. Like this had to have been like 3 or 4 years earlier. I never remembered this dude. He had tried to call a technical foul on me and throw me out of a game in a rec league like 4 years before that, and I got pissed at him, and then the guy overturned it. They didn't throw me out the game. He was trying to throw me out the game. He was just being a bitch. This guy, long story short. And I forgot all about that. I had not remembered this dude. But then 3 weeks after I started going to the run club, my subconscious mind was just working on it, and it reminded me where I knew that dude's face from. So obviously he knew me. As soon as he saw me, he remembered me. I didn't remember him. But the whole point, I'm bringing all that up to say this. The reason I noticed him, because it was 100 people and 98 of them was white. He was black. I noticed him because he was black. That's it. Human beings are tribal. And if you can make something tribal at the base level, especially for low level individuals, and most people are low level people. They're called the masses, the average people. Anything that is tribal, they're gonna eat it. They're gonna take that bait. And it's worse for white people the same way it works for black people. A lot of people say this about Donald Trump. Now, you hear people criticize Donald Trump. They say, well, the reason Donald Trump wins elections is because he has a whole bunch of low level, dumb, low information, uneducated, racist white people to vote for him. Now, do I believe that's how I would describe those people? No. But if there are any that exist, do they have a better chance of picking the white guy, Donald Trump, or picking the quote unquote black female Kamala Harris? Donald Trump. Guaranteed. It's a better chance they're going to pick Trump than they're going to pick Kamala. Same way that a bunch of low level black people voted for Kamala just because she was brown. Whatever she is. She ain't black. Let's just call her brown. So what it does is it hijacks real dialogue and replaces it with social media drama. This is what social media has done. Again, we all made social media what social media is, by the way. So when I say social media, I'm not talking about something out there. Social media is us. We are social media. Right now, this is social media. If you're leaving a comment, you are part of social media. If you are watching me, you're part of social media. If you're liking this live, you are part of social media. We're at 32,000 likes, TikTok. Can we get to 40, please? Can we get to 40,000 likes? All of us, we are social media. So whenever you criticize social media, you are part of the criticism. All right. So when I say social media, I'm talking about me too, because I'm involved. I'm engaged. I'm active on social media. I create content on social media. Social media is a Trojan horse. What it does is it comes in and we all say, wow, this is great. Now I can communicate with people without leaving my house. Now I don't have to actually shake somebody's hand and look them in the face and have a in the flesh conversation. I can have a conversation with somebody from my phone and do it from my couch. Now I can meet girls or guys through DMs rather than actually going out to the bar or to the mall and approaching someone, which is much more anxiety inducing. I can just do everything from social media. I can learn about the world through social media. And we all do this, or at least we think we're learning about the world through social media. Social media also, what it does is it dumbs down discourse. It can uplift discourse and also dumbs down discourse. The way it dumbs down discourse is because now there is no barrier to entry to say whatever you want to say and get the world to know about it. That's how it dumbs down discourse. Because back in the day, when I say back in the day, I mean before social media, if you wanted to get the word out about something that you had to say and you wanted to do it publicly, you had to earn the right to do that. You had to have and you had to earn it through having actual substance, through building an actual audience, or you had to get through some gatekeepers in order to say what you want to say to get the world to listen to you. I mean, you had to go through a book publisher, or you had to get some type of TV or radio deal, or even if you had your own independent thing, like a blog or something like that, you still had to get people to fucking find your blog and read your blog and subscribe to it and get on your email list. You had to actually do some work to provide value to where people saw you as someone that they should come back to and listen to. What social media has done is made it really easy, is democratize the publishing of quote unquote information, or just say material. It doesn't have to be information. It could be a bunch of dumb shit. You can publish it very easily and anyone can do it from the comfort of your own couch. It does not have to be factual, doesn't have to be logical, doesn't have to be truthful, does not have to be verified, but you can put it out on the internet and get a whole bunch of people to see it. All right, that's it. And social media has made this very easy. And because social media has made this easy, what it does is it dumbs everything down, because now you have more people who otherwise would not be able to earn their way to having a voice, having a voice. That's what social media has done. Now, that's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because now people who did have something of substance to say, but otherwise couldn't get through those gates, now they can put their stuff out there. So you couldn't get a book publishing deal back in the day, but now you can self-publish your own book, and your book happens to be amazing. And also, you can self-publish a book that happens to be trash that never would have got published no matter what the situation was. But now you can publish your trash-ass book because now you can self-publish. All right, so you get the trade-off of this. And remember, folks, everything in life has a trade-off. And one of the trade-offs of social media is that the race hustler has been able to emerge. The race hustler cannot do what they do without social media, because social media allows you to get a nonsense message out to a bunch of people who don't think and don't read, and they like it. And they got money too. They got green money, and they'll buy it. This is what social media has allowed us to do. So the Black race hustler made race-based outrage a proven tactic for drawing attention. And again, I already told you all this. Once you show that doing something can get attention, other people are going to do it. And it doesn't have to be a good thing. So when you see a rapper, I saw this post on social media today, this rapper named Sexy Red. You ever heard of this chick? Black chick named Sexy Red. And she is doing what she's doing, and that's going to spawn a whole bunch of other people doing the same thing. Doesn't mean they're going to get her same level of attention or success, if you want to call it that. But there's going to be a whole bunch of copycats. Why? Because what she's doing is allegedly working. It's working. It's getting attention. So she's going to do it, and a bunch of people are going to come behind her, and they're going to do the same thing. So copycats come in whenever they see something working. And again, the thing that's working doesn't have to be something of substance, doesn't have to be good, doesn't have to be useful for the community. It just has to be, quote unquote, working. So when there were people dealing illicit pharmaceuticals in the streets back in the days, is that good for the community? No. Is it a good business model, good business idea for you? Probably not, because you may end up losing your life or end up incarcerated. But did it spawn a whole bunch of other people to do the same thing? Yes, it did. Why? Because it looked like it was creating success on some level. So, hey, why not try this? This is what happens. So white folks wanting to get into this exact same emotional game is completely understood because it works. So people who reject the racial narrative, you're the one who gets attacked for being insensitive or tone deaf or not understanding, or, hey, what about if the other side did the exact same thing? Or the other side's already done the exact same thing, so we should do it. So the justification that the Black race hustler has for race hustling, even when you call them out on their race hustling, because I will literally call race hustlers out on their bullshit on social media. So any of you who follows me on X, you'll see me calling race hustlers out. And there's some that I call out all the time because they do it all the time. And when you call the race hustler out, there's two things that happen. Number one, you get a whole bunch of their minions, low-level followers, who come and attack you for calling them out for their race hustle. That's one thing that happens. And the second thing that happens is if they respond to you, the hustler themselves, they will explain, well, hey, and not in always in direct terms, but their overall picture and justification they have for race hustling, if you're Black, is that, well, look at all the bad things that white people did to Black people for centuries and for generations. All we're doing is balancing the books. All right, this is the Ibram X. Kendi approach. Ibram X. Kendi is the guy who wrote the book, How to Be an Anti-Racist, a terrible book that was very successful in terms of sales. The content of the book is terrible, but the sales numbers are amazing for Ibram X. Kendi. Again, race hustling pays. And in that book, Ibram X. Kendi states as his thesis in the book that past racism is only balanced out with present racism. And present racism is only balanced out with future racism. That is literally in his book. Now, you may ask yourself, how the hell can someone who works at a university, this guy's a college professor, how can a college professor write a book saying that so plainly and get the book published, number one, get a bunch of people to buy it, number two, and get a bunch of people to actually teach this to their kids and their students, number three? You tell me. And he did. That did literally happen. I didn't make that up. Go read his book. Any of you, how many of you have read the book, How to Be an Anti-Racist? Put yes if you have, put no if you have not. If you read the book, put the word yes. If you have not read the book, put the word no. And I'm suggesting all of you to go read this book. If you have not read it, I suggest all of you go read it. Whether you're Black or white, you should read this book. And the reason why you should read the book, even though I just told you that the content of the book is terrible, even though his arguments are clear, but his arguments are very bad. I explained why they're bad. I did a 4-part series breaking down this book. I read the book twice because I couldn't believe what I read the first time. I had to read it again just to make sure. And all of you should read it. Why? Here's the reason why you should read the book. Because you need to understand the frame and the logical explanation that race hustlers have for what they do. And Ibram X. Kendi became the lead race hustler around 2000, between about 2018 and 2020. He was the lead race hustler in the world. All right, literally in the world. He was the number one race hustler in the world. And when I say number one, what I mean, he had the most attention, he had the biggest platform, and he was probably making the most money through race hustling. Because he took in Ibram X. Kendi, if I remember the number, he was working at Boston University, and they created this little like subculture university for him, like not a university, but a what they call it in a university when they give you like your little fiefdom inside the university. Yeah, one of those, whatever you call it. And he took in $40 million in donations for his little subgroup, what he had inside of Boston University. And yeah, he did a ton of conferences. He got paid for every appearance he did. He was doing consulting gigs, going into companies and consulting them on anti-racism. And I'll even tell you, I knew a whole bunch of white people who were using the term, I know I need to be anti-racist. This was just their normal vernacular. They were just saying it. We weren't talking about the book. They were just saying it. I'm like, why is this white girl talking about being anti-racist? Where'd she get this from? She read the fucking book. This dude was killing it in 2018 through 2020. He was doing great. The book is called How to Be an Anti-Racist. The author's name is Ibram, Ibram X. Kendi, Kendi. All of you should read this book. I thought more of you have read it. Most of you are saying no. Y'all should read this book because it gives you the basis for race hustling. He makes a bunch of logical arguments that don't actually make any sense. So just because someone's logical doesn't mean that what they're saying is accurate. He makes a bunch of logical arguments. He's a college professor, so he's articulate to a point, but he says a whole bunch of bullshit. And this book was extremely influential. It still is to this day, as a matter of fact. Now, Mr. Kendi kind of fell off because he wasn't a good leader. He's a good race hustler, but then he got put into a position of leadership for which he was not prepared, and he faltered in his leadership, and he's gotten really, really quiet since then. He blocked me on X. I don't know why. I never said anything directly to this man, but he blocked me. But anyway, truth becomes the enemy when the crowd is addicted to feeling offended. And this is the problem people have when you become a race hustler and someone like me goes against the race hustler. I'm the one who gets attacked. I get a whole bunch of blowback when I call out race hustlers on their bullshit. And I will call out white race hustlers too. So same way I call out black race hustlers, if you're white and you get out here race hustling, you're going to be hearing from me. All right. I mean, knocking on your door. All right, you're out here race hustling. Cut that shit out, especially on X, not on any of these other apps. If you're on X race hustling, you will be hearing from me. And this nonsense is now the dominant form of cultural debate, outrage over facts. This is how it works. What do I keep telling you all over and over again? What's the 3-word phrase that I keep saying to y'all? If somebody tell me what's the 3-word phrase I keep telling y'all, damn near every day I got to keep bringing it up. Anybody know what it is? So we're at 43,000 likes. Can we get to 45, please? Dowling said, Dre is the race hustler police. Yes, I am. I'm the race hustler detective. I'm the Perry Mason of race hustlers. All right, you don't want me on your case. All right, I will find you and prosecute you on your race hustling. Anybody know what the 3-word phrase is that I keep saying? Someone says, so you don't believe in anti-racism? Hell no. I don't believe there's no such thing as anti-racism. And again, read the book. Read Ibram X. Kendi's book so you understand what he's saying. Then you'll understand why I don't believe in the concept. So Dowie Matt got it right. Facts don't matter. When you're race hustling, it's not about the facts. Race hustling is about emotions. It doesn't mean you can't have a fact. Again, is it a fact that George Floyd passed away that day in Minneapolis? Yes, it is. Is it a fact that he was getting arrested in the process? Yes, it is. Is it a fact that he was on the ground and the officer was kneeling on top of him? Yes, it is. Those are all facts. Now, all the other things, a lot of the other things, that got put into that story are what the race hustlers ran with, both black and white, on both sides of the conversation. My overall opinion on the whole situation is that the officer did not get a fair trial because of the climate of the country at that time. In town in which it happened, there's no way he'd get a fair trial. Just on those 2 pieces of information alone, he didn't get a fair trial, and he should get a retrial. Whether he ends up exonerated or not is immaterial to the fact that he deserves a fair trial just as everyone else in America does. But nobody cares about what's true anymore, ladies and gentlemen. So any of you trying to convince somebody of anything by telling them the truth, stop it. That's a waste of time. If you want to convince someone to see things your way, what you need to do is get them emotionally aligned with you, or you get emotionally aligned with them. That's how you get somebody on your side, not by telling them the truth. Nobody cares about the truth. Nobody cares about facts anymore. Only when they have a truth or facts that serve their emotion. If your truth or your facts do not serve the emotion of your audience, then your truth or facts don't matter. And most people are emotional, and social media has allowed people to get more emotionally plugged in than logically plugged in, because logic and facts and rational thinking require actual effort. Emotion does not require effort. And again, we're just talking about human nature here. So the white race hustler is a direct result of black race hustling. Okay, so any of you see a white race hustler and you're mad, be mad at the black race hustler because they spawned the white race hustler. You would not have white race hustlers if you didn't have black race hustlers. This is not progress. It's just a mirrored stupidity that drags everybody down. That's what this is. It's a mirrored idiocy, but I understand the idiocy because, again, it works. It sells. And if you're trying to make money, you have to sell what people want. First of all, economics is supply and demand. There is a high demand for racism these days. So those of you who said you believe there's a more racism, no, there's no more. There's not an increased supply of racism. There's an increased demand for racism. And when there's a whole bunch of people demanding Crespo Realty, I see you got it. Facts don't matter. When there's a high demand for something, even if there is very little supply, people will go and make up the supply just to serve the demand. That's the way it works. This is how you get fake stuff. In the United States of America, I don't know if any of you has traveled abroad, especially to Europe. If you've been to Europe, one thing that you'll notice when you go eat food in Europe, whether you're eating at somebody's house or you eat at a restaurant, is that their portion sizes are significantly smaller than the portions in the United States of America. The portions of food that we eat here, like I get my meals from a meal delivery service called Health Rush down here in South Florida. And the amount of food that is on the plate when I take the meal from Health Rush and put it on my plate is significantly smaller than the amount of food that if I was to go to Applebee's or Outback Steakhouse. You go to Applebee's or Outback Steakhouse or most restaurants in the United States of America and you order something, the entire plate is filled with food. Whether it's the burger, it's the fries, it's the steak, they just give you a whole plate full of food. And the way human beings are designed is that if you give us a plate full of food, we will eat the whole fucking plate. If the plate was halfway full of food, we will eat that. And if it's 3/4, we'll eat that. And the point being, the reason why we have an obesity epidemic in the United States of America is because we overeat. And the reason we overeat is because the demand for food we've had this demand for food. And there's not that much food out there to actually supply the demand. So you know what we do? This is what RFK has been alluding to. He hasn't jumped on this one so much. He's talked about it a little bit, is that we create a bunch of fake food. A lot of the food that we eat is not real. It's not actual food. A lot of y'all are eating French fries that ain't got no potatoes in them. Are you eating burgers that ain't got no meat? All right, it's fake food. So we went and create manufactured food. A lot of the food that we eat in the United States of America is created in a chemistry lab. It is not grown on a farm or on a plant. It doesn't come out of the ground or out of a tree. It's fucking fake. It's not real. You're eating chemicals. And the reason why we're eating chemicals is because the demand for food it outstrips the supply of food. We don't have enough food to feed all the people asking for it. And most people don't want to discipline themselves enough to stop asking for food, which will make everybody skinnier and healthier. Again, make America healthy again. So instead of doing that and forcing discipline on people, which will cause a revolt, instead, let's just give them what they're asking for. Just give them more food. And it's not even real food. So what? Just give it to them. They'll eat it. This is where we're at. When the demand outstrips the supply, people will go make up fake versions of what you're asking for just to shut you the hell up and give you what you asked for. There is a high demand for racism. So people go make up racism just so you can be quiet and say, all right, here's some racism. We found it. This is how race hustling comes to exist. So if people stop asking for racism and stop looking for racism, then the race hustle would slowly fade into the bushes like that Homer Simpson gif. And that Homer Simpson gif where he's fading into the bushes. All right, that's what happened to the race hustlers if people stop looking for racism. But since people are looking for it, the race hustler is eating really, really good right now. Race hustler is doing amazing. Race hustler is like Amazon right now. So again, any of you looking for a business idea and you're not sure what to do, go become a race hustler. All right, there's a lot of money to be made. So I'm going to call it out on both sides, as I told you. I'm knocking on doors of all race hustlers. I don't care what color you are, and I'm calling you out on your bullshit. And the people who lose the most are the people who actually want honest conversation. That's the reason why I'm talking about this. I prefer honest conversation. Honest conversation does not mean that we agree. Honest conversation does not mean that you have the same perspective that I have. Honest conversation does not mean that I'm right and you're wrong and that you're right and I'm wrong. Because again, we just told you facts don't matter. Honest conversation just means being honest about where you stand and why you stand there. And the other side of the conversation, even if they disagree, they can be honest about where they stand and why they stand there. And even if we do not change each other's minds, we can have an honest and open and respectable exchange of ideas. That's the way it's supposed to go. That's what debate is supposed to look like. We don't have that these days because we got a lot of dishonest dealers who have very little substance, but they have a whole lot of energy, and they have a whole legion of people who also have very little substance and very little intellect, who just want to be led around by their noses, i.e. their emotions, and they will support this person. And again, there's a whole lot of opportunity to be made by serving low-level, low-intellect people because there are a lot of them. Right? So again, I'm telling y'all, this is a sales pitch I'm giving y'all a marketing pitch for being a race hustler. I'm telling you why it's a good business to be in. If you want to play this game, I personally could out race hustle any race hustler in existence today if I wanted to. I just don't like being a dishonest dealer. It's just not I don't like operating that way. It would disturb my sleep to dishonestly deal with people knowing that I'm doing it on purpose just to make money. I wouldn't do that. It's like being a illegal, illicit street pharmacist. I'm like, I could do it. You can make some money, but is it worth the cost to your conscience? So some people could turn their conscience off enough to do it. I'm not, or they just don't have the intellect to even understand that what they're doing is some bullshit. Some of them are in that category. They don't even know they're doing something stupid. They just do it because they think that they're right, because their intellectual level is very low. There are other people, though, who are smart enough to know that they're race hustling. They do it anyway. See, I couldn't do that. But maybe some of you are capable of it. That's why I'm just throwing it out there. All that being said, folks, what I'm going to do, let me see if I can find this clip, because any clip that I post on here, I got to be careful what I post, because it got to be something that's actual. It got to be something that's not an official post. It can't be like a clip from somebody's podcast or something like that, because then TikTok's going to give me that warning again. I don't want to get any warnings from TikTok. Warnings from TikTok usually precede something worse, such as a suspension. I've been suspended 12 times on here, so I gotta be careful what I post. So I'll not just stick to what's safe, which is I'm gonna let y'all hear a clip from my masterclass called Work on Your Game. The topic here, actually, here's the topic. This is a funny topic, but all this said. Episode 3301, why I like proving people wrong on the internet. All right, so there you go. All right. What is the Circle? That's my group coaching program, Crespo Realty, that we just opened this week. You can learn more about that. Send me a DM with the term The Circle. My assistant will write you back in a minute and tell you about the Circle. So this episode just came out on the 28th, which was yesterday. Why I like proving people wrong on the internet. And that's kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing when I say proving people wrong on the internet. I'm actually not joking. I do prove people wrong on the internet, but not in the way that maybe most people think. So I'm going to let y'all hear a little bit of this while I take a quick 90-second restroom break. Then we're going to get into the comments and see who agrees, who disagrees, and what everybody has to say. Give me 90 seconds. And oh yeah, y'all want to learn more about the Circle? That's my group coaching program. It's $97 a month. That's where you get access to me. 2 group coaching calls a month. You get access to my Dre GPT chatbot, which is trained on my voice, my message, my frameworks. So you have somewhere you can ask questions all the time, even if I'm not there talking to you. And you're going to know exactly what to do after every call. You get on with me exactly what to do next, so we can get you moving sooner rather than later. That's all happening in the Circle. Again, that's my group coaching program that we just opened this week. All right, y'all listen to this. Give me 90 seconds, and then we'll get to the questions. You're wrong with the internet being a metaphor, not necessarily literal, because very few people admit when they're actually wrong. I say maybe in the last 100 exchanges I've had on social media, maybe one person admitted that they were wrong. Point number 1. Today's topic, once again, is why I like proving people wrong on the internet. Noticing the fallacies and flaws in most people's reasoning. Now, this is just part of my natural way of thinking. It's just part of my wiring, is that I could agree with you on a point that you make, but disagree with the way that you came about coming to your conclusion. Because I just notice when there are flaws in people's reasoning. I notice when there are flaws in most people's logic. I notice when people use logical fallacies. Even if they come to a conclusion that I actually agree with, I notice when people are not good at explaining how they got there. So, again, it's not always that I disagree with someone's conclusion, but I will notice the kinks in the armor, so to speak, of their logic and reasoning. In other words, how they come to their conclusions. Even if I agree with the conclusion, I don't like how you got there. So someone may think the same thing that I think, but their explanation doesn't quite hold water. So I will often, maybe not directly to that person, but I'll point it out and or use it as an exercise of sorts for how I think myself. Okay, the way they broke that down is not quite right. I would say a similar thing, but I wouldn't say it that way and for that reason. And I like to be able to put together arguments and clearly explain how I come to my conclusions. Even if someone may disagree with my conclusion, you should still be able to understand and respect how I got there. For example, I just saw this clip on social media today. This black guy who is a podcaster, he was speaking at what looked like to be a black hosted and black themed event. I don't mean black the color, but black the race, like black people. He's standing on the stage. He's a black guy. He's saying, hey, I'm not. All right, so y'all want to hear more of that, just tune into the Work on Your Game Masterclass. I can find that on Apple, Spotify. Those are the two biggest ones. So you can find it on Apple, Spotify. It's also on YouTube, but we don't have every episode on YouTube. Only starting at around episode 1100, we started on YouTube. We had 3,300 now. So the first 1,000 or so are not on YouTube, but you can find everything at workonyourgamepodcast.com. Every episode is there on the site. So Let's see where we're at. Fit Business says our community needs a Dr. Umar Johnson. He may be a race hustler, but the mofo is hilarious at times. Well, I pretty much. What do you mean we need him? I don't know about needing Dr. Umar Johnson. We already got him. What do you mean we need him? We already got Dr. Umar Johnson. He is a race hustler, and he is racist. I believe Dr. Umar Johnson is racist. He claims he's not racist. Nobody who's racist claims that they're racist. I believe Umar is racist, and he is hilarious. I actually believe three things about him. He's a race hustler, he's racist, and he's funny. 1, 2, 3. So if Dr. Umar is doing an interview, I'll listen to it just to hear him say something that is generally funny. And he always says the same thing every time he speaks, he says the same point 3 times. Trisha checking in from Thompson, Georgia. Shout out to Thompson, Georgia. I've been to Thompson, Georgia, actually. And let me see what we got on Instagram. I think I addressed what I saw on Instagram. It might be one I didn't get. Instagram, and I'm coming to TikTok in a second. Can we get the 55,000 likes, please, everybody? So a bunch of you never read that Ibram X. Kendi book. So who the hell was reading this book? He sold a lot of copies. None of y'all read it? Noble said, all those likes on TikTok, and at the end, everyone live going to have negative things to say. Well, sometimes. I like reading the negative comments because it gives me something it allows me to display my skills. So there's a lot of people agreeing too. I don't always read all the agreements. And Crespo said, I love your boldness. Thank you. Honest conversation is the best. That is correct. All right, let's see what we got on TikTok. I am starting at the top, so I'm not reading the comments and at the pace in which they're coming in because there's too many of them. I'm starting at the top. I'm going as fast as I can to catch up. So if any of you thinks I'm not reading the comments, I am. This is not AI. This is not a recording. I am doing this right now. It's 9:17 a.m. Eastern on Thursday, May 29, 2025. Okay, so Sherry, good morning. Checking in from Michigan. We might be able to catch everything here. South Florida is in the house renting Palm Beach. Shout out to Palm Beach. I was on Zillow a month or two ago, and I saw this house in Palm Beach that was crazy. It's probably like $50 million. It was like an island. Miami Springs is in the building. Worcester, Massachusetts. Shout out to Massachusetts. Kendall's in the house. Shout out to Kendall. Kendall's a beautiful place. I like Kendall. I don't know if I would ever live in Kendall, but I like Kendall. A lot of pretty Latin girls in Kendall also, for the record. The Zuri brand said, do you really expect black people to stand for that song? What song? The national anthem? I don't know what song you're talking about. If you're saying national anthem, then yes, I stand for the national anthem. I'm black. Why would you not stand for the national anthem? So let's see. So some of y'all found me on the For You page. Shout out to TikTok. They got me on the For You page again. Vivian said, get a lip reading specialist. That's to settle it. I don't know. It depends on how honest they're allowed to be. That lip reading specialist might not want to get the blowback from reading the wrong thing off those lips. Pause. Traditional said, that's right. The Al Sharpton's been doing this for years. Yeah. Now, Al Sharpton used to hold the black community accountable. But then he flipped from the people who pay him. And they ain't black. Let's just leave it at that. Vivian said, I'm from Philly, grew up in the 60s and 70s in a mostly black neighborhood. We didn't have all this racism BS. We got along. People still get along. And this is another thing I didn't say. So Vivian, I'm glad you brought that up. People still get along the same way. It's just on the internet, people make it seem like these kind of things are going on all the time. Like every time you walk around a corner, somebody's being racist. That's not the reality of life. And all of you know it because all of you have a life off the internet. That ain't happening every day. But if you get on the internet, it seems like it's happening everywhere. That's what the internet does. It makes people feel like this little pocket of the world, which is social media, is how actual real life is. And we all know that real life and social media are not the same, but in many ways they are the same. So I'm going to do an episode on my podcast on that exact topic very soon. And most people in the world do not use social media, by the way. And they damn sure are not publishing on social media. Even people who consume social media don't publish on social media. I publish. Most people do not publish on social media. So you should never think social media is reflective of the real world. Carlos said, everything that happens doesn't happen because of your race. Is just ridiculous on both sides. Yes, exactly. But I mean, again, try telling that to somebody who's already engaged in the subject. Walking Tall and Alone said, rich whites remove DEI and Medicaid to build prison camps for ICE. Also, mid-poor white also suffer. I don't know if the removal of DEI, is that by the rich whites? I don't know if I would say that. We can say the administration, the Trump administration wants to remove DEI. That we can say accurately. The Medicaid thing, I don't know yet. That hasn't actually happened first. Has it actually happened? It hasn't happened first. Everybody keeps saying that, but it didn't happen. Traditional said, I didn't know Griner still played. Yeah, she still plays. She's probably 10 years in the league. She's been around for a while. Ingrid said, I thought the reference was made because Griner got called for the foul, the hitting CC in the throat. No. I didn't even see the context of what she got called for the foul for. Even that, though, she's not the one who called the foul. Creighton Clark didn't call the foul. The ref called the foul. And when Griner got interviewed at halftime, you could see her yelling at the ref. She actually stops the interview. She pulls away from the interviewer so she can start talking shit to the ref. Look like she was just mad at the ref. That's what it seemed like to me. That seems the clearest, easiest explanation. They call it Occam's razor. The simplest explanation is usually the true one. So when people start jumping through hoops to try to make it something that it wasn't, nah. Traditional said Clubhouse used to be good. Yeah, Clubhouse was a good place to go, especially during the virus, because people couldn't leave the house. People ain't had nothing to do. Big Sam said everything is racist. Everything in America has its roots in racism. I don't know about that. The second half of your sentence I could kind of see, but then to say everything is racist, I would say no. I wouldn't say everything's racist. There's more racism now. No, I don't think there's more racism now. I already explained it. Drew said what is known becomes accepted. That's true, but it depends on what you're talking about. Justin Martin Sr. said, I like the tie. Thank you, sir. Beth Green Eyes said, I feel they just use the race card more than ever. Who's they? Everybody uses the race card. That's the thing. That's why we're talking about the white race hustler. All right. Everybody uses the race card. Linda said, we are talking about it more. Yes, exactly. Racism is always a topic now, so it seems like it's happening because everybody's always talking about it. But is it actually happening? Somebody talking about something and something actually happening are two different things. Big Sam said, America is so global and the government cannot be so blatant. Now, Traditional said, I mean, people creating racism, actually. Yeah, I think people are looking for it, and if they can't find it, they make it. Drew said, different kinds of racism, all right, such as. Jenna said, they could keep it, they would go back to that for sure. Who's they? You talking about white people? They would go back to that? I don't think so. And the reason why I don't think so, and there's a lot of black people who think along these lines, Jenna. I don't know if you're black or not, but a lot of black people say, or they believe, and they will even say it, that if white people who they think are racist could take it to back in the day when black people were completely subjugated and didn't have rights and couldn't do anything other than what they were allowed to do by white people, that a lot of white people would bring it back to those days. I disagree and say, no, they wouldn't. And the reason why is because the United States of America is a capitalistic society that's all about how do we maximize our returns and maximize our ROI. So back in the days, the only thing black people could do, let's just keep it really simple. The only thing black people were doing was working on plantations, right? And working on fields. But what if a white person who wants to make as much, because their aim is not, let me just subjugate black people. That's not what someone doesn't wake up in the morning and say, how can I just hold black people down as much as I can? Even back then, that wasn't the aim. Back then, the aim was, how do I maximize my returns and my ROI? That's what America was built on. And any of you who hasn't read any books on history of America, I'm almost finished reading the story of Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin is like probably the greatest statesman in history of the United States of America. Even though he never became president, he got his face on the $100 bill for a reason. He was one of the best diplomats that we had. When America was going into the revolution against England, against the crown of England, we didn't have enough money to fight that war. We were about to lose. Ben Franklin went over to Europe, and he went to France specifically, and he was able to get money from France that was able to fund us. And that's the only reason we were able to get our freedom, because he was able to get the money from France. And one of the things that Ben Franklin was all about was we have to make sure we are allowing our everyday people, like the average people, and he considered himself to be an average person, the merchants and the shopkeepers, the small business owners, we got to make sure that these people they have space to do what they want to do, because the money that they make, first of all, the shops that they have serve all of us, first of all. Secondly, the money that they make, they can be taxed, and that allows the economy to go as the economy goes. And that's what America was built on. And the reason why America was fighting back against England in the first place is because England kept trying to put taxes on people, even though they weren't really doing shit for us. So they started to fight back. And at first, Franklin was on the side of England. He was actually very loyal to the crown of England. But then when England kept not wanting to compromise, he said, okay, well, I guess we gotta go to war. Then he went to France. He got the funding from France because France hated England at that time. And France is the real reason America was able to, not the real reason, they funded the war because we didn't have the money. We didn't have enough to make it. And they funded it. And that's why America is America. There's a reason why Ben Franklin is revered the way that he is, even though he never became president. The point of all that is the following, that a white person who wants to maximize their ROI, which is what America is built on, they said, well, why are we just keeping the black people working in fields? Because some of these black people are good at things other than working in fields. Now, some black people are only good for using their muscles. There's a lot of black people useful in other ways. How about we let them go make money in other ways? Maybe we can own the means of production. These are your athletes. These are your rappers. These are your entertainers. We can own the means of production. We make money when they make money. And now they can make money in other ways. Actually, we should let these people be free because we can make more money with them free than we would make if we kept them subjugated. So that's my response to this whole thing. People saying they would keep black people subjugated if they could. I don't think so. If your motive is profit, then you want to maximize profit, and you maximize profit by allowing people to do what they do best. All you do is just control the means of production so that you can make money off of everything that they do. But if you limit them to only doing one thing, then you are probably losing because people are probably good at other things besides that one thing. So hopefully that answers your question. Sanchez said, anyone can do anything else today if they want, such as what? Jenna said they're trying to bring back Jim Crow. No, Jenna, that's wrong. No, they're not. Who is they? Who are you talking about? Kristen Perkins said, back in they can put hands on you and do whatever, everything, cover up. To me, that's racism. Well, back in the day, I believe there was outward and blatant racism. These days, are there still racist people? Of course. And on both sides, there are black racists, there are white racists. But is there as much racism now as there was back then? The answer is hell no. Absolutely not. Big Sam said there's definitely microaggression. Well, Big Sam is not against you personally, but microaggression, I have an episode on my podcast where I've talked about this. Let me go find the episode because I don't want any of you to think that I'm making this up. Because I want to actually show you what I said. I believe I could find it on YouTube. This is the easiest way for me to find it. Yes, I did a whole video on this. It came out 4 years ago. It's on YouTube. You can see it right here. The title of the video. Y'all can see that? The title of the video, Microaggression is for Pussies. All right, so I'm on the record with that one. Microaggression is for pussies. And I'm not saying any of you who go with the concept. I'm not saying you personally. Microaggressions for women and children. I'm not worried about a microaggression. I respect macroaggression. So if you're showing a microaggression to me, I'm not even noticing. I'm not registering a microaggression. I only register macroaggressions. I think is a childish or feminine way of looking at things to look for a microaggression in another person. What are you going to do? Anyway, Drew, where am I from? I'm from Philadelphia, PA, originally. I live in South Florida. Teach to Teach said, I'm just tuning in. I disagree. Wonder, do you watch Fox News? I don't watch any news. I don't watch TV, period. I only own the TV. So, no, I do not watch Fox News. And what are you disagreeing with? We're at 60,000 likes, folks. Can we get to 70, please? New Black Panther Party said he must love hearing his own voice. Well, me and the thousands of people who tune in to watch my lives, New Black Panther Party. So both me and them. So let's see. K DeGo said, nobody cares about the WNBA. Well, they're starting to get more people to care because Caitlin Clark came in and she brought a whole bunch of white fans with her. And there's a lot of white people in America. So people are starting to care more just because she's there. Now, the last I heard, she got injured and she's going to be out for like 2 weeks. So that's going to hurt them. But when she comes back, I think they're going to be in good shape. 452 said, Brittany Griner is white, so it should not be an issue. No, Brittany Griner is not white. She's black. Kevin said, we already have this. It's called liberals. Okay. Traditional said, they talk about the debate before they come on. Yes, they do. They plan the debate. They plan it. They plan, I'm going to say this, and you're going to take this. I'm going to take this angle, you take that angle. So it's not like they always disagree. So when Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith, which I thought was the best version of that show, when it was Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith, no extra people, just those two and a girl sitting in the middle being quiet. That was the best version of that show because I believe that they were actually arguing things they actually thought. I thought that was actual honest debate. They had to make it up sometimes. They had to come up with shit sometimes. But I believe the Skip Bayless really decided to plant his flag on this, trashing LeBron no matter what he does. And that was honest debate. He decided that's what he wanted to do for his career. And he did it. And Stephen A. Smith, it was easy for him to push back because that's ridiculous what he was saying. It was real, though. It felt real to me. And Skip Bayless has kind of stayed on that square even after he's left ESPN. And I think he's pretty much retired now. He stayed on that square. Nowadays, they just come in there and just make shit up. and the people who are doing it are not as good. Skip Bayless is actually very good at that TV debate. Stephen A. Smith is excellent at TV debate, but neither one of them has been able to find someone who is just equally as good to counter them. So that's the problem. Shannon Sharpe ain't as good, and that's the reason why he's doing better with his own stuff than he was doing on TV. And who else? Who's Stephen A. Smith on there with now? Whoever he got on there now, they're not as good. Jay Williams ain't good. The Morris twins are not good. Mad Dog is not good. Who else they got on there? Shannon Sharpe's not good. Everybody they bring on there are no good. So the show have gotten worse. And who they got on Fox now? Joy Taylor is not good. Keyshawn Johnson is not good. Paul Pierce is not good. They got a whole bunch of bums. That's why these shows have gotten worse, even though they seem to be more popular. So figure that one out. Carl said both sides need to see that is all to cause division so that they can have and get control and power. Yes, well, that's the whole point. O'Neill says social media is overrated. LOL. This is the only app I have. You know what? That's a good way of, you got a good way of operating, O'Neill. Most people should do that. I just happen to use social media as part of my business. So I have accounts on every app, but the only one I actively use outside of doing this is X. Outside of doing this, you're not going to see me actively doing anything on any other app. You won't see me in your comments. You won't see me liking your pictures. I don't do none of that shit. So Traditional said this is what he teaches to his students. Yeah, I don't know if he's still teaching. Is Ibram X. Kendi still actively teaching? Let's see if we can find out. Is Ibram X. Kendi still actively teaching at a university? If so, what university is he at and what is he teaching? O-Dog said Jay Crawford was the best moderator. I remember Jay Crawford. O-Dog said people don't know history. Many of the founding fathers were against slavery and wanted to end it. Yeah, they were, because they were the frame that they were all under, the founding fathers, was that this country is built on a foundation of Christianity. It doesn't mean we're a Christian country, but it's built on the foundation of Christianity. And under Christianity, what we're doing to these black people is simply not right. And again, there's a profit motive. We can make more money if we let them go and let them do what they want to do. And the country can make more money and we can move forward as a country, and also just the moral authority. As America, how are we going to say we have moral authority over Britain for trying to tax us without allowing us representation? But then we're going to say these people, just because of the color of their skin, we're going to make them work for us and not allow them freedom. We can't. There's a conflict there. We're in conflict where our morals are not in congruence with the way that we're living. So that's the reason why we end up having a civil war and a abolished slavery. So it wasn't because they just want to keep holding black people down. So a lot of black people think that, but it's simply not true. Doctrine Dark said, one thing I learned and admire about you is that no matter how many views you get, how many likes you get, you just keep going and are consistent. I respect that. Well, thank you, Doctrine Dark 33. So the interesting thing about these live streams is that right now, there's 100 people watching me on TikTok right now. There's 5 people on Instagram, literally 5 people on Instagram. There's 5 people on YouTube, 1 person in Rumble Studio. I don't know how many on X, and I can't see the numbers on LinkedIn. So there's like 20 times more people watching on TikTok than all the other apps put together, even though it's the exact same streams, the exact same content. So I'm waiting for somebody to explain to me why that happens. I don't know. And it happens every day, by the way. We're at 64,000 likes on TikTok. Can we get to 70,000, please, folks? So people watching me on Instagram, there's a lot more people watching than just what y'all see on Instagram. But would I still do it if it was this many total? Maybe not as long. I will say that. So Traditional, you read the Ibram X. Kendi book. So here's what they say about Ibram X. Kendi. As of May 2025, Ibram X. Kendi is transitioning from Boston University to, do you know where Ibram X. Kendi is about to go work? This is funny. It's another school. Anybody want to guess what school Ibram X. Kendi is about to go work at? Actually, I'm not at the bottom of the comments, so I can't even see it. Ibram X. Kendi is about to go work at Howard University. Howard. Isn't that where Kamala Harris went? Ibram X. Kendi is about to go work at Howard University as a professor. He's going to be a professor of history at Howard University, and he is going to serve as the founding director of the newly established Howard University Institute for Advanced Studies. So it's like these small groups that they make within the university. That's what he's doing. So he's the founding director of the Howard University Institute for Advanced Study. This guy's in charge of an institute for advanced study for black students. This is why academia is a joke in the United States of America. This right here is enough. This guy is going to serve. I got to read it one more time. founding director of the Institute for Advanced Study at an HBCU. Now, this is why academia is a joke, right here. And this is not about, it doesn't have to be a black school. This is why academia in general is a joke. And it's also why HBCUs are making themselves look like clowns by hiring this guy. Really? I understand why, because he wrote a book that basically spoke to the emotions of a lot of black people and what they want to believe. And he just made it sound more logical and rational, even though the book is poorly constructed. His arguments are trash. And I got a 4-part series on YouTube. Y'all can find it where I trashed him, on my podcast as well. So anyway, his move coincides with the closure. So he created this institute. That's what I was looking for. The Center for Advanced Anti-Racist Research. So at Boston University, this is what I was talking about earlier. Ibram X. Kendi, who wrote the book, How to Be an Anti-Racist. He got a center opened at Boston University. Boston is not an HBCU. It's a PWI, stands for predominantly white institution. He got an institute at Boston University and $40 million of grant money to open this at Boston University. The problem is it pretty much didn't do well because he was not a good manager. There was this long piece in the New York Times that came out about 3 years ago, basically talking about this, and a bunch of people who work for him were basically trashing him because he's not a good manager. He's not a good leader. He's a good, I guess, whatever you want to call what he does. He's a good practitioner. He's not a good leader. There's a difference between being a baker and running a bakery. He's a good baker. He's not a person who should be running a bakery, metaphorically speaking. And his thing only lasted about 5 years, so he's out of there. So at Howard University, his role will encompass both teaching and leading the institute's research initiatives. That's ridiculous. Specific courses have not been announced, but his focus is expected to continue in areas such as African American history, racism, anti-racism, and American intellectual history. Ridiculous. But again, this is academia, folks. This is the reason why you don't see me speaking at colleges, because this is the kind of shit that they co-sign, and I am antithetical to this. In addition to his academic responsibilities, Dr. Kendi, so he has a doctorate degree. Again, sorry to those of you who have doctorate degrees. He's making y'all look bad. Dr. Kendi remains active in public scholarship. He is the contributing writer at The Atlantic, not good for The Atlantic, and he serves as the racial justice contributor, a racial justice contributor for CBS News. So they usually bring him on CBS. Notice they don't bring him on CNN, because on CNN he would have to debate and he would get trashed. So they bring him on places where he can talk without somebody talking back to him. You notice he's never debated anybody, even though I don't even like debate culture. I never seen him debate anybody where he might get hit with a question that he hasn't prepared to answer because he would look bad. But anyway, that's what happened to Ibram X. Kendi. They hired him at Howard University. So those of you who went to a HBCU, I'm sorry. I apologize to you. All right, they're making y'all look bad. Brian said, "There's no such thing as anti-racism. It's just treating people like people." I agree. Patsy Barrow said, "Nothing is free." I say that too. So Patsy Barrow, you're right. I do say that, but facts don't matter is the one I was looking for. Dolly MAK, you got it. Dolly said, "People rely on emotion-based facts." Yes, they do. That's the reason why facts don't matter. Big Sam said, "Tim Wise and Jane Elliott also speak to anti-racism." Yeah, because it sells. Tim Wise and Jane Elliott understood, hey, there's money to be made here. Also, what's the white woman's name? I wrote her book too. That was also very bad. Robin DiAngelo. She wrote the book. What's her book called? White Fragility. Y'all should read that one too. It's called White Fragility. It's written by a white woman named Robin DiAngelo, and she's basically she's a white person trashing white people for their racism. So y'all figure that one out. Matt Walsh interviewed her for his book, and she charged him $20,000. Again, look it up. Everything I'm telling you is true. Big Sam said, "So you believe we live in a post-racial America?" Big Sam, congratulations. 2 days in a row. Straw man of the day. Straw man of the day. Here you know that you're dealing with a straw man when someone starts their question with the word "so," or "so you're saying," or "so you believe." O-Dog said, "Slavery was expensive for slave owners." Okay, this is more context. By the way, you're the best one on Whitlock's panel. The other ones kept going off topic. I was letting them talk more. I appreciate that, though. So, straw man of the day goes to Big Sam. He says, "So," that's a tell for the straw man. Not always, but that's a tell. "You believe," you're pretty much in the straw man. As soon as someone says, "So you believe," or "So you think," or "So you're saying," they're about to straw man what you said. So that means they're about to rephrase what you said into something that you didn't say, and then they're going to argue against it, or they're going to try to ridicule it, or they're going to ask you to respond to it. So what Big Sam does, "So you believe," straw man, "we live in a post-racial America." I never said that. and then LOL. So that's the ridicule right there. So he asked me a question and he offered the ridicule. So Big Sam, this is like a masterful straw man that you pulled off here. And I never said that, so I don't even have to respond to this. And you're offering me what we call a false binary. So it's what I actually said, and then you putting it into a false binary, meaning it's either a post-racial America or racism still exists, and you're only offering me two options. You cannot limit my options. So Big Sam, I don't know if you did this on purpose, but you got to come with something better. So Dally MAK pointed out the straw man as soon as it happened. So Dally got it. Shout out to Big Sam for the straw man of the day. We got to get a sponsor for the straw man of the day. We are still looking. So Big Sam, I'm sorry there's no prize for you getting the straw man of the day, but you do get acknowledgement and recognition. Joseph said, I'm in the Philippines now. Meals are way smaller here. Yeah, and you don't see a whole bunch of fat people walking around the Philippines. I'm sure there are some, but not like in America. America is a lot of obese people because we eat too much damn food, and a lot of the food we eat is garbage. Kath said, I have 5 gardens this year. Kath, what does that even mean? 5 gardens? So you mean like around your house or what? Britt said they traded nutrition for shelf stability. Yes, that's pretty much what it is. It's a good term, shelf stability. And if you go to the grocery store, just keep in mind that the real food is on the perimeter of the store and all the garbage is in the middle. So if you just walk around the perimeter of the store, you're going to see the fruits, the vegetables, and the meat. Everything else is processed trash. B said, this confirmed. I take no one's word for anything. What are you asking about? Traditional said, this is sad. We're eating chemicals. Well, B, are you talking about the eating chemicals thing? You don't have to take my word, B. Next time you go to the grocery store, just walk around the perimeter, right? And pick up some of the food on the perimeter. That's the fruits, the vegetables, and the meat. And pick up those, and like things like cheese, things that come literally from animals are all on the perimeter of the grocery store. So on the right side, usually when you walk in, you get the fruits and the vegetables and produce. Well, in the stores I go to, fruits, vegetables, produce on this side. Then you'll have the milk and the cheese and the stuff is in the back aisle. And then the meat is on the other side. That's the perimeter of the store. Then the other perimeter is the front where you pay. That's it. Go into the middle aisles. Here's what you do, B. In the middle aisles, pick up anything off the shelf that's in a package. Anything that's in a package, and go look on the back and read the ingredients. If you notice things that you don't know what they are, you cannot pronounce them. And if I read it off to you and said, spell this out and tell me exactly what this is, you couldn't answer the question. What is that? It's not a natural occurring thing. It's a chemical. So any of you go get anything packaged, anything that goes into your pantry at your house, anything that goes into the pantry at your house. All right, these things are processed. It's all processed food. Potato chips, processed food. Popcorn, processed food. These are all processed. Read the ingredients on the back. And if it's a bunch of stuff, you don't even know what it is. You can't read the ingredient. Why are you putting that in your body? This is the challenge I had with the jab a few years ago. We don't even know what it is. Why are you putting that in your body? You don't know what it is. If you don't know what it is, why would you put it in your body? I don't give a fuck what a doctor says. Now, if a doctor can't explain to me what it is, I'm not putting it in my body. I don't care who said it. And somebody told me this a long time ago, over 10 years ago. It was a girl I was seeing. She was saying, when you buy products from the grocery store, if it has more than 5 ingredients, is highly processed, and there's a bunch of stuff in there, you don't know what it is. If you can't pronounce it and you can't explain what it is, why would you eat it? And this is when I'm playing sports. I said, Joe, you're a professional athlete. Why are you putting things in your body you don't know what they are? That's a pretty good question that most people can't answer. And they eat the shit anyway. Cass said, if it's in a bag, it's bad. Pretty much. That's pretty much the case. If it comes in a package, an airtight sealed package in a bag, it's processed nonsense. Now, of course, they got to put meat in a package, but y'all get my point. Y'all get what I'm saying. B said, high demand for people mistreating me for simply being black. Seriously, bruh. All right, that's somewhat of a straw man there that you gave, B. But did you hear my full explanation? I hope you did. Traditional said, we need to stop buying chickens and cows. Yeah, we need a farm for that. I ain't got no farm. I'll have to move somewhere to get a farm. Britt said the other elephant in the room is America has an obesity epidemic, but focused on food shortage. Yes, that is interesting. It's an interesting point that people talk about food shortages, but then we have obesity. So when RFK came out and said, we want to take a bunch of the junk food out of the free school lunches, a lot of people got mad and said, well, if you take the junk food away, what are they going to have? And he's trying to replace it with more healthy food. The thing is, you need this much healthy food to replace this much junk food. So this much junk food, like this much, to replace it with healthy food, you only need this much. So it's a smaller portion. And people are getting mad about that, not because it doesn't make sense, but because RFK is standing next to Donald Trump. So you know what you're going to get. You know what's going to happen when you stand next to Donald Trump. You're going to get attacked. So people want to give more food at the free lunches, but the food that they give out at free lunches is junk food. It's trash. They want to give you soda. They want to give you candy. They want to give you processed, nasty food that is shit, chemicals. And they just want to give as much of it as possible so they can feel like they're doing something good. Crespo said, do I like Trader Joe's? Yes, I do. I was just at Trader Joe's yesterday, as a matter of fact. So what I like about Trader Joe's is that they have this multi-grain bread that I like. My favorite bread to get is the Trader Joe's bread. That's one thing I like about them. Sometimes they have some good quality organic bananas because I like organic bananas. So I will pick them up from Trader Joe's when I'm there. I don't really buy that many other things from Trader Joe's, but they had that bread. They got that bread, and that's the only place that I can get it because it's their bread. It's like their branded private label bread. And what else about Trader Joe's? It was something else. I can't remember what it was. A lot of times I have my son with me and he wants the little stickers. So when you check out at Trader Joe's, the person at the counter, they'll have these stickers that they'll give to a kid, and they'll also give him a lollipop too. But my kid doesn't eat candy. So we don't take the lollipop, but he always likes the stickers. So when I pull up to Trader Joe's, I pulled up yesterday, I was in a parking lot and my son is in the car seat in the back. So he can't even see in front because the car seat is pointed backwards. So I don't know how he knew, but as soon as I pulled into the parking lot of the store, he said, I wonder if they have stickers. I'm like, how the hell you even know we're at Trader Joe's? He couldn't even see that we were at Trader Joe's, but I guess he knows by the context clues around him that he's picking up on, oh, this has to be the same place with the stickers. So he's very perceptive, and they did have stickers, and they gave him this whole roll of like 20 stickers. So those are three things I like about Trader Joe's. And Crespo said the seeded one is called, I know it's called multi-grain bread. Let me see if I got a picture of it. I think I got a picture of it in my, I think I got a picture of the bread because one time I went there and they didn't have it, and I was looking for it and they didn't have it. Yeah, it's right here. So it's called Trader Joe's Organic Seeded Bread. Is this bread? Crespo Realty, this one with the white label with the little purple stripe. So this is the bread that I like from Trader Joe's. So if any of you is ever working for me and I say go to Trader Joe's and get me some bread, this is what I want. Organic seeded bread with sunflower seeds, flax seeds, poppy seeds, and sesame seeds. But the seeds are all like on the crust. The bread is just bread generally. I mean, there's some seeds inside of it too. But it's not like this. Sometimes I eat some bread that's like organic bread. This is organic bread, but it's a different type and it don't taste right. This bread tastes fine. I like this bread. So this is the kind of bread I like from Trader Joe's. And Crespo said their salmon is nice. Yeah, see, I don't cook, so I don't know about the salmon, but I'll take your word for it. He said, that's the one I eat the best. Yeah, that's the one I like. So that's what I like about Trader Joe's. So let's see where we're at on TikTok. So that's the same one, Crespo. You like that same one? So that bread is popular because I went there once and they didn't have it. And it's like, we're not going to have it for like 2 days. Nightwalk said, you're saying racism should be ignored and it will go away. Here's a straw man number 2 of the day by Nightwalk. He said, so you're saying, again, y'all can easily point out straw man when you start seeing these. So you're saying, so we know it's coming. Racism should be ignored and it will go away. And then there's a question mark. So again, I told y'all how people do straw man. Either A, they try to ridicule, they say something you didn't say and they try to laugh at it as if they're laughing at something you said when it's actually something they said. Or number 2, they will say, well, it looks like you believe something. So they'll throw it out as a presupposition that they want you to respond to it. Or number 3, they'll ask you a question that is reframing your point as if that's what you said and asking you to confirm it when that's not even what you said. So Nightwalk, he did the third one. He reframed my point into something I didn't say, then posed it as a question as if he wants me to confirm this bullshit that he came up with. Nightwalk, try again. Laquana said, good gravy, I am going to waste. What does that even mean? Traditional said, I can't stand Abby's show on CNN. Yeah, I don't watch CNN. I see clips of that every once in a while. Someone said, I'm a pseudo high intellect hustler. What's my hustle? What am I hustling? So let me see. Where am I in the comments? I might be able to get through all. Let's see. Let me not speak too early. Say I might be able to get through the comments. I might be able to. Let's see. Lee said, way to get us to want more of your podcast. So you should want more of my podcast. And now that you know that I got one, all of you should be listening to it. It comes out every day and it's free. It's called Work on Your Game. You can find it on Apple and Spotify. YIG says, why does the process of getting to the conclusion matter? Can you explain more? What conclusion are you talking about? If you can clarify your question, I will explain it as long as we have time. Donna Jean checking in from Philly. Shout out to Philly. Stay in your lane said, what's the definition of a logical fallacy? Is when someone makes a logical jump that is not accurate in order to come to a conclusion. They come to a conclusion that their framing or their process of getting there was wrong. So, when you were in math class in school and you would take a test and the teacher would say, show your work. You had to show your work, even if you got the right answer, but you didn't show the work properly. You got the question wrong. That's what a logical fallacy is. It's like you might come to the right conclusion, but your approach was incorrect. And sometimes your approach is incorrect and your conclusion is wrong. So a straw man is when you have the wrong conclusion and you have the wrong approach. But logic, you could come up with the right answer and still have the wrong approach. That's a logical fallacy. But if you want a more buttoned up definition of a logical fallacy, let's let ChatGPT help us out. Give me a definition of a logical fallacy. Or I should have said, give me the definition of logical fallacy. So ChatGPT says, a logical fallacy is a flaw or error in reasoning that weakens an argument. It occurs when the conclusion does not logically follow from the premises, even if the argument seems persuasive on the surface. Logical fallacies often mislead by appealing to emotions, misusing logic, or distorting facts, and they can be either formal, a structural flaw, which I just said, or informal, a content-related error, which I also just explained. So that's what a logical fallacy is. It's an error in reasoning that weakens an argument. Most people are not good at reason, especially when they hear something that they disagree with. Their reason goes out the window because they become emotionally triggered. So then they just say anything that comes to mind, which is often not logical, which is hence the fallacy. Detroit's in the house. Chi-Town's in the house. Rhode Island in the crib. Shout out to Rhode Island. I don't think I know anybody from Rhode Island. The For You page. That's what's up. Shout out to TikTok and the For You page today. BBS said, thank you. Your discussions are much appreciated. Natural conversation and engaging. Thank you. Can we get to 80,000 likes, please, on TikTok? We're at 78,000. We got less than 10 minutes here before we wrap this up, folks. Can we get some more likes on TikTok so we can get to 80,000? Bill said, capitalism is a utopia. It doesn't exist in reality with monopolies and oligarchs. Well, capitalism is not necessarily a utopia. Capitalism is not perfect, is what I would say, Bill. I get what you're trying to say here, that perfect capitalism is not possible. It's not, no economic setup is going to be perfect. There's no setup that's going to be perfect. Is capitalism perfect? No. But I'd rather have capitalism than the other options that we know of. I'd rather have capitalism. Even with its flaws, I'd rather have capitalism. So Miss I said, are you functioning within the context of contemporary society? Miss I's, what do you mean by that question? I don't understand what you're asking or why. Give me some context, please. James Kimoff said, right on point. Thank you. Bill said, professional entertainers almost never own the means of their production. Yes, that's what I said. That was my point. That people who had, again, why would you have LeBron James picking cotton on a plantation when instead you could have LeBron James playing basketball? Which one's going to make, if you own the means of production either way, would you rather have LeBron James working on a plantation or you rather have LeBron James dunking a basketball? If I own it either way, I'd rather have LeBron James dunking a basketball because LeBron James dunking a basketball will make me, the owner, more money than LeBron James picking cotton. So again, if I'm a white person and I just want to benefit from the presence of black people, I'd rather let them do whatever they want to do as long as I can get some benefit from what they do. Let them go and do whatever they want. Oh, you want to play basketball? Okay, let me get some money off that. You want to rap? Okay, I'll get money off that. You want to write a book? Let me get some money off that. Why would you keep them in one place? You might as well let them do whatever they want. You can make money off of 100 different ways instead of making money one way. That's what I'm saying. On top of the fact that the plantations are usually in the deep South in the United States of America where the cotton was at. Well, what you going to have them doing in other places? I mean, of course, you have slaves doing more than one job. But why make them slaves when they could go do other things and they can express more of themselves, feel more free, while at the same time you still own everything? That's the ultimate way to be, is that you want everybody around you to feel like they have freedom and they can do whatever they want and they have autonomy, while in actuality, you're making money off everything they do and you're probably making more money than they make. That's the ultimate power position. So again, why would you keep them on the plantation? O-Dog said, the food and drug cartels poison people on the front end with food and offer poison on the back end, such as healthcare. Yes, pretty much. That's the system. I talked about that and almost got suspended off TikTok for talking about it. So I got to be careful. Michelle, good morning to you. Good to see you here as usual. Thank you for the hand heart. Cisno said, now he'll be swaying minds at Howard. Yeah, I think Howard's the best environment for him anyway. I think Howard's the best place for Ibram X. Kendi to be anyway. They deserve him. So I'm sorry, those of y'all who went to a HBCU, but them hiring Ibram X. Kendi is making HBCUs look bad. And Cass said, growing my own produce. Shout out to the people growing their own stuff on farms. I've known some girls who grew their own stuff on farms. I just don't want to live on a farm. I like being in the mix. I like to walk outside and there's a neighbor over here, a neighbor over there. When you got farms, you got too much space. Not my kind of life. But shout out to the people who do live that way. Murphy said, I like straw man. They make you laugh and I enjoy hearing you laugh. All right, well, just let me pick another triggering topic. There'll be more and more strawmans. Astro said processed foods in the middle. Yes, y'all notice that the middle of the grocery store is the biggest part of the store, by the way. Because that's all processed food and it's all chemicals and it's all junk. And here's the other thing about the processed foods. It costs less money to make processed foods than it costs to produce and sell real food. So any of you buy some apples or some bananas from the grocery store, you got maybe 5 days that you need to eat them before they go bad, right? And then you got to replace them and get more apples. Same thing with the producer who gives you the apples. They got to grow more apples because the apples don't last forever. It's not like you can grow an apple and just sit it there for a year. And when somebody finally buys it, you get something out of it. No, that apple has to go quick. Now, if you make a Snickers bar can sit on the shelf for fucking 3 months. And then you can sell it 3 months later and the Snickers bar is still quote unquote good. And I like Snickers bars and they're still good. And it costs a lot less money to produce a Snickers bar compared to the profit you make off it. So the profit margin on junk is higher than a profit margin on real food. That's the reason why a grocery store has a lot more junk than it has real food, because there's more money to be made on the nonsense than is to be made on the real shit. So again, all of you got to think about this. Who's benefiting when you buy junk food? Not you, the people who sold it to you. So if you want to make a whole bunch of money in the food business, don't sell real food, sell junk. You'll make more money selling junk than you'll make selling real shit. If you can bring it to your conscious, you can have that weighing on your conscience and be okay with it, or you can turn your conscience off to do it. And so the person earlier who was asking me a question about capitalism, this is one of the trade-offs of capitalism, is that people will do things to make money that might not even be ethically good, but it makes them money. It's not illegal, but it's not ethically good. So selling people junk food like a Snickers bar is not helping the person who buys a Snickers bar. But it's not helping them in the big picture. It's helping them in the short term because they get to eat the Snickers bar, because that satisfies their craving for 20 minutes before they get hungry again. And in the long run, it's hurting them because it's a whole bunch of junk you just sold them. There's nothing real in that Snickers bar, maybe not even the peanuts. But you'll make a whole bunch of profit from selling Snickers bars. So you get rich while they're actually hurting their long-term health, but in the short term, they feel good. Now, if you sell them some produce or some apples, that helps them in the long run and it helps them in the short term, but doesn't help them as much because it doesn't feel as good to eat an apple as it feels to eat a Snickers bar if you're used to eating Snickers bars. So these are the trade-offs of capitalism. J-Head said, some things like flour and spices are all right. Okay, fair enough. All right, we'll add that into the record. You can't just ignore the middle is all I'm saying. Fair enough. Okay, so things like flour and spices, and yes, the spice aisle. Okay, I will give you the spice aisle. All right, so now everybody got that. All right, that's on the record. J-Head, good point. Britt said, okay, we got that. Miss I said, you can't trust the meats these days. Yeah, that's why you got to get it from a place that, depending on what kind of meat you want. Do you want organic meat? You want grass-fed meat? And there are different places to sell that. And also keep in mind that if you want the organic or the grass-fed shit, it costs more money. I remember you go to a grocery store and buy like 3 bags worth of stuff from Whole Foods, and that should be like $200 if you're buying organic meats. And like the highest quality stuff costs more money. And a lot of people don't want to spend the money, so they buy the junk because it's cheaper. But you're shortening your life by eating the junk. So there's the trade-off. Astro said, unnatural sugar is definitely not good. No, it's absolutely not good. It's basically a pharmaceutical is what it is. Know Your Sound said, Trader Joe's has healthy items that are organic. Yes, they do. I know they do. There's a book called The Hidden Life of Groceries. I read this book probably about 2, maybe 3 years ago. Y'all should read that. It's an interesting book. And it tells you the origin stories of stores like Trader Joe's and Whole Foods and where these stores came from and how they got their names and all the things that they do. Like John Mackey, I don't know if he's still running Whole Foods. I think he is. I saw him at a conference a few years ago, and I can't remember the Trader Joe's whole backstory. There's a book out there. It's called The Hidden Life of Groceries. Look it up and read it. Kath said, they make us sick through processed food and treat us with pharmaceuticals. Yeah, same thing O-Dog said over here on YouTube. That's exactly what they do. See, that's one reason why it'd be good to know somebody who has a farm, because then you can get your food straight from them. You can just buy it from them. Shout out to the farmers out there. All right, a couple more questions and comments, and then we will wrap this one up, everybody. Shout out to the TikTok, get me on the For You page somehow, some way here today. Where are we here? Miss I said, Michelle Obama wanted to put fruits in school, Republicans had a fit. Yeah, because that's the political game. That's the political game. Cindy said, good morning. I've been missing you. My bad. LOL. Well, I'm glad you're back, Cindy. Where were you? Where have you been? Danny said, you mentioned Matt Walsh. What are your thoughts on him? Generally, I like Matt Walsh's approach. I think Matt Walsh is similar to me in that he is dispassionate, that he doesn't get emotional in his arguments. He makes points that are logically based. I don't listen to everything he puts out, so I'm sure he says something that I don't agree with, but I like the fact that he makes logical and rational arguments. So I feel like I could have a conversation with Matt Walsh and we could disagree, but still have a respectful and honest dialogue. Those are the kind of people I like listening to. So that's how I feel about Matt Walsh. I saw a video he put out yesterday. He was talking about, I don't know if it came out yesterday, but some woman who had like trashed her husband on TikTok, and then people supported her, and then she came on and trashed him again on TikTok, and he was talking about how that's a stupid thing to do. But generally, I like his approach. I loved what he did in the what was the first documentary he did? What is a Woman? That was great. I didn't watch his second one yet. His second one is the one about racism. I didn't watch that one yet. But the one about What is a Woman was amazing. So I like Matt Walsh. I can have a conversation with that man. User said, I'm an old black woman. At first, I wasn't sure about you. You're very good. Vegas. All right. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you. Miss I says, still scratching my head on how a felon didn't go to jail, only in America. Well, it depends on how he got his felonies. And we all know those weren't normal felonies. Let's just put it that way. High class white trash said, I have a little farm. Shout out to the farms. Now, down here in Miami, you can do stuff like, I don't know what they call it, like sharecropping, I guess, a farm. So you can like buy in and you get a little piece of farm. So there's a park in Miami Beach, north part of Miami Beach, where a lot of there's not this, I'm just saying, a lot of J people live in this part of Miami Beach. Very clean, very nice, very neat, very, very safe part of Miami Beach, for the record, where all the J people live. And there's a big park there, there's a beautiful park, and they have one of these sharecropping farms. So it's like this little piece of land there, and then every person, it's probably like 10 people, they all got their little cut, and they can grow whatever they want to grow, and there's a fence around it, and you got to have the key to get in. So you can do something like that even if you don't have a farm. Most of you who have farms know that, but I'm just saying it for all you city folks like me. You can do something like that. Gary Gray said, pay the high price to eat healthy now, pay the high price later. Pretty much. Yeah, but Gary Gray, that's called discipline. So you got to be careful who you preach that to. Most people don't want to hear that. Traditional say he did the one on transition. I think that was the What is a Woman one. Yeah, I think that was What is a Woman. Goyo said, I bought a piece of land very cheap with an RV. Now I don't have to pay rent. Yeah, a lot of people go that route and do that. Shout out to the farmers out. Shout out to all you who are aware of what you're putting in your bodies. Be careful, because if you don't pay now, you'll pay later. That's what it is. And the healthcare system, once they get you, they got you, generally. So everybody, let me read a couple more comments. On O-Dog said, you have to have knowledge of what is in order to reason. I'm a Christian, but I get frustrated trying to reason with Christians because many only reason off assumptions and emotions, not the Bible. Yeah, I would think so. I'm not a Christian, but I understand. He said, capitalism is a communist pejorative. Free market is a more appropriate term. In a free market, the consumer has power. You don't have to buy junk. Okay, so O-Dog said it's better to call it a free market than call it capitalism. So when I hear the term free market, I think of Milton Friedman, because he used that term all the time. He always said free market, free market, free market. Shout out to Milton Friedman. Y'all can find Milton Friedman on YouTube. He's dead. He's been dead for a while, but you can find his talks on YouTube. He has a lot of them, and he is very logical in breaking things down and talking about the government and the economy in ways that are still true today. Stuff that he said in like 1980 are still true to this day. And O-Dog said, I hate the word the government put pharmaceuticals in the hood. You didn't have to buy it just because the drugs were there. Yes, also true. Doesn't mean they didn't do it, though. We still got to give them credit for doing it. Crespo said, what's your view on one world order? I don't know anything about one world order, so I don't have a view. I don't even know what that is. I've heard people say it, but I've not looked into it, so I don't have a view. But thank you for asking. So everybody, let's wrap this up. It's 10:05. I usually end these at 10 o'clock, so we want to start on time, end on time here. Time is of the essence. I do these live streams Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. So if you like this one, come back tomorrow. If you didn't like this one, come back tomorrow. If you are not sure about me, come back tomorrow. All right. If you think that I just think I'm smart because I got on a suit and tie and I got books on my bookshelf, come back tomorrow. If you don't know what I'm going to talk about tomorrow, come back tomorrow. I don't know what I'm going to talk about tomorrow yet, as a matter of fact. My possible topic. Oh yeah, you know what? This is one I do want to talk about. Is this Starbucks thing? You heard about this Starbucks situation where the staff is claiming that they're going to revolt because Starbucks is now they are enacting a dress code, and now the Starbucks staff is saying that y'all can't make us wear a dress code. So uh, I do want to talk about that. We might talk about that tomorrow, but we might not. So it depends on what happens between now and tomorrow. So I might talk about that, the Starbucks thing. So it is coming up at some point. But if something happens today that bumps it off the headlines, then that will bump it off the headlines. But we will get to the Starbucks one at some point. Tomorrow's Friday, so it'll be the last one for the week. We'll see. We're probably going to talk about this Diddy case even more as we move along. I think I'm going to keep talking about it every now and then, maybe even once a week, what I'm seeing in the Diddy case. As I already told you all a few days ago, that this just looks like a character assassination, which might be enough to get him convicted. He might get convicted just on that alone, but we'll see. And again, I told y'all we want to wrap this up. So you want to learn more about working with me? We have an entry-level group coaching program called The Circle. It's $97 a month. You can learn more about that by sending me a DM with just say The Circle in the DM. My assistant will get back to you and give you more information. I'll give you a link so you can see all the information to get into that. We do calls twice a week directly live with me. So if you like these, when I'm talking specifically on business and specifically to you and put you on the hot seat about your specific needs, that's when you're going to get access, and you're going to have clear marching orders, as one of my coaching clients likes to say, clear plans on what to do next. So go to, again, DM me the word The Circle, or you can see maybe a link in my profile and whatever app you're watching me on. You can find out more about that. The replay to this live stream will be on YouTube. So I'm live on YouTube right now, so you can get the replay over on my YouTube channel. Y'all can see that there. All the replays are on YouTube. I got more than one YouTube channel. So just look up my name and the topic. You'll see it. And that's that. All right, 2 hours straight of this. All right, this is fun, as usual, folks. I appreciate all you at 90,000 likes. Thank you to my moderators here for making sure we get the likes up. Traditional in here. I see you, Marky Man. Appreciate it. Dally Mac, I see you. Carl, I saw you as well. Appreciate all y'all for being in here. I will see you all tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. Topic to be determined. Work on your game. We are out of here. She said, old dog said, was Milton Friedman an advocate for UBI? I don't know. I would take the UBI as long as I can still make my money, though.